need to go on the combat tracker.
Hello everyone, and welcome to D&D Night on DDOstream, sponsored by Fantasy Grounds. I am your Dungeon Master and host, Cordovan, otherwise known as Jerry Snook. And with me is a full group of adventurers who are putting their very lives on the line by signing up to play in my special 3-part Halloween campaign. Thank you so much for being here tonight. If you would give us a follow, that would be absolutely lovely, and we will be indebted by blood forever. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. Let me do some introductions. First up, we have got Corky Rylander. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Corky.
Hello, this is Comic Relief playing Corky Rylander, who is a monk, and he's taking on the role of the Inquisitor in this particular campaign. No idea what that's going to entail yet, but there you go.
All right, and next up here is Harker.
I am Drac from DDO Players. I am a wood elf that is a ranger, and I am taking on the role of the monster hunter.
All right, next up here is Lantana.
That would be me.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good.
I'm Bonnie Bew, BB Lasers, and I am playing Lantana Mortiz. She is a tax assassin.
A tax assassin, you heard it right, folks. Mm-hmm. A tax assassin, meaning you are the official tax collector for the realm. However, yes, you are willing to enforce those duties by some fairly extreme means as necessary.
Everybody owes the queen. My job is to figure out how they pay.
I love it. All right, Lucrezia, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Teen Imperil on Twitch, and I'll be playing Lucrezia Stormfoot, who is a paladin, and she is the queen's round noser, apparently.
Official representative of the queen is what it's called. Now,
That's what I said.
so the official representative of the queen basically is her voice in all matters when it comes down to it. The official representative of the queen, if you say, hey, I'm the official representative of the queen, that means that any decision you make is done on the queen's behalf. And you have the ability to basically determine when that is. Because so you are quite the powerful character. However, what you maybe lack a little bit in sort of dungeon prowess, you certainly make up for in diplomacy and all that sort of thing, and you are not bad in a fight either. So, Maximilian.
Hi everybody, I'm Groovy Online, and I'll be playing Judge Wolf, Maximilian Wolf. And I'll be here to execute the law.
You are the judge. So
execute the law.
So as a judge, that means essentially you are presented with evidence and then decide on how the rules are implemented. You are basically the person who makes decisions of a violent nature when necessary, and also makes decisions in regards to enforcing the law of the queen wherever you go. Tapiana.
That is me. I am playing Tabiana Brightleaf, the halfling cleric. I am known on Twitch as DDO Even and Twitter as Evennote. And this is probably unfortunate for my party mates, but I am the cartographer. If you have ever played DDO with me, you will know that's probably not a great choice.
It's the greatest choice of all time. It is the best choice of all time. You know this to be true. It's
and yet, you chose it.
When did we agree to this?
I don't know that we actually agreed to it. Said, I'm going to do that one. It's like, man, because I wanted to do that one.
If I'm not mistaken, we are never lost.
Oh, you have not yet run with me as your cartographer. Believe me, get used to it. You're going to be lost.
No. I'm not saying we're never not sure of where we are.
Oh, yeah. We're never going to be sure of where we are.
All right, so why don't we take a minute, if possible? Would you like to say anything more about your characters, your backstory, what you know of kind of going into this? And then I'll talk a little bit about the nature of how I would like to DM this session. Give you a little bit of a clue to hopefully spur those creative juices a little bit and get you to interact in a story session. So the basic idea of these kind of campaigns is we are telling a full story with twists and turns and characterization and lots of drama and lots of fun and comedy and whatever it ends up being in a near improvisational style. So what that means is that you as players should feel the need to do whatever you would like if it gets to that point. I have had campaigns where I have done this before, just a couple of times, and it's been great both of those times. Now, here's the other thing about this campaign style is we go quick. So there is not a lot of random encounters. There is not a lot of kind of just sitting at a tavern. Okay, what do you do next? This is interactive storytelling where you are interacting with the plot and should feel free to adjust it to your whims. We do have a story that we are getting to, and it's a fairly concise story in 3 acts. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Traditional 3-act structure, 1 per session. So, while we get you guys to put yourself in marching formation just for whatever reason it might need to come up, why don't you also tell me a little bit more about your character?
Where would we like to start?
I guess if you're bringing a character into the campaign and you feel maybe you haven't exactly said a full scope of who your character is that you feel the party should know about you, now might be the time to just kind of give a few hints. And meanwhile, put yourself in marching order on the party sheet.
Okay, party sheet.
I speak for the queen. How do we do that?
There's only 5 of us on the party sheet.
No, I've got all 6.
Oh, I do not see Corky.
Oh,
I see 5.
no, you're right.
Let's see.
I was talking about the
There we
combat
go.
tracker, and
Okay.
you are on the combat tracker. Sorry about that.
And it's not letting me drag my icon
Right.
over to the
Yeah,
marching
me-
either.
Oh, okay.
I think you might have to do that, Jim.
I have to do that. All right.
At least put us on the grid.
They
maybe.
were already making them work for this.
Oh, I think you're right. I bet I just need to put you guys on the grid, and then you
Yep.
can adjust
There you go.
yourselves as necessary.
Let's see. Okay.
We are...
I-
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I am extremely loyal to the queen and I serve no one else.
Oh, that's excellent to hear.
That's generally best, I believe.
All right, so I'm going to read the introduction here, and then before we really get to the mission, it'll give you another chance to maybe talk to your characters a little bit about their backstory, what maybe makes them special. Anything you want to add is fine. If you want to be in character, perhaps say in character. If you want to be out of character, perhaps say out of character. That'll just help people who are watching kind of know a little bit more about what's going on, and perhaps listening as well. A lot of people probably have kind of this off on a side screen while they were doing other things, and that's perfectly fine.
Right.
Might also be worth saying your name. Like when it comes to combat, say Lucrezia is going to run away from the gigantic evil thing. You know, another way to help these things go pretty well. All right, so the introduction to The Witch and the Woods, as told in 3 parts by Dungeon Master Cordovan and his lovely party Maximilian, Lucrezia, Corky, Lantana, Tabiana, and Harker. The world you call Eternya is a land ruled by fear. Death is ever present, and the darkness and difficulty of life has made people hard. Prized traits required for survival include practicality, toughness, and aggression. You are a member of the Queen's Hunters, an elite group sent to enforce a rule, collect taxes, and map out the vast queendom. The vastness of the world was once wild, untamed, full of gods, demons, witches, warlocks, and monsters. Over many generations, the king expanded the borders of the known world, and over the many years, the territory of the king came to encompass most places where people live. It's just a massive, massive kingdom. While the kingdom, now known as the Queendom, is vast, it is so large that there are many places with little connection to the rest of Eternya's rule. Thus, the queen created the Queen's Hunters to bring civilization to the uncivilized, help people understand that they are a part of the Queendom, collect taxes in exchange for services, and provide such services. One of the most necessary services is to provide enforcement of civilization. Where the wild encroaches and attempts to destroy, the hunters investigate and get rid of the threat. Granted, not all communities wish for such enforcement, but it is not up to them.
Which has to be my favorite line.
A little bit about Eternya here. This is where we're going to really start getting into kind of story details and that sort of thing. So hopefully you can kind of start to find your character's place in the world based on the above and what I'm going to say now. At least hundreds of years ago, exact timing is sketchy, the king and the queen ruled the kingdom. There was no other name for it, since it was under the king's domain, and he ruled all the land of the known world that was relevant to its population. There is no other land out there, or there is other land out there, sorry. There is other land out there, but most folk never see it, and probably would not go there even if they could. However, while the king greatly expanded the realm to include most of the known world, the king and the queen were unable to conceive an heir, and the king had no living relatives. Thankfully, the queen stopped aging after reaching adulthood, and is known to be beyond death. Since the king did age, they came up with a way to avoid the destruction of the realm through power struggle, war, and political chaos. Here's what they did. The queen would behead the king in a very public exchange of power, known historically as the, in capital letters, as the perfect solution, and take over ruling the kingdom, now known as the Queendom, for all eternity. The queen created a central public space in the royal city where the king's head remains on a spike to this day, so visitors can learn the history of the realm and the queen's hunters can pay respect and worship it before engaging in their tasks. You find yourself being called from whatever mission you were in as the member of the queen's hunters to be a group. Some of you know each other, some of you may not, and you are called to the queen's kingdom. You should be able to all see the settlement now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what brings you all together? Where were you heading into this calling to basically the general of the Queen's Guard?
Well, I'll go. I was at my post in a house of judgment near the execution grounds, pending my daily duties of finding or having lawbreakers brought to me and executing the law as I saw fit.
Okay. How about... No,
sorry,
go ahead, Tabiana.
I was healing our wounded queen's warriors. Do I have that right? We are warriors of the queen. When the queen's warriors would return wounded, I was in charge of healing them.
All right. And how about you, Lantana?
I've been making a tour of some of the Queen's markets, basically, watching out for any discrepancies in the weights and measures and dealing with it accordingly.
So can you tell me a little bit more about those weights and measures? Like, what would be an example of a weights and measures you would be calling to respond to?
Well, I'm basically looking out for any signs that perhaps somebody may be holding out, using some kind of false weight and shortchanging in trades or overcharging, and I collect the difference that I see fit.
Very nice. All right, and how about you, Lucrezia?
You cut out.
Yeah.
Oh, did I? How about you, Lucrezia? What brings you to the realm?
I am the eyes and the ears and the voice of the queen. So I am here as her representative in all things.
So what were you last called to do? You think we can come up with a thing that you had last been called to do?
We probably could.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I have problems coming up.
Oh, no problem. That's no problem. I'm just trying to see if we can find ourselves in a place, see kind of what you've brought into it, if you have any ideas. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. Hopefully the story will help shape your character and kind of get it to where you want it to be. So does anyone kind of have any more backstory before we get called to the General of the Queen's Guard? You're all basically going in through the front of the city here. You're basically walking as a group because you're visibly hunters, part of the Queen's hunters, and you are heading to the capital itself, the Queen's chambers, which is actually more than just a chamber, but a lot of rooms, including things with like generals and meetings and all that sort of thing. It is obviously a very secure location, but as a member of the Queen's hunters, you have no problems.
This may be the closest that Lantana has ever been to the Queen's Chambers specifically. She might have had peripheral dealings in this area, and she's trying to not look remotely nervous.
So I should probably say a little bit about the backstory that Cordova and I had kind of come up with. I have a background of a spy and a blackmailer, so I try to be mysterious, if you will, and I don't want people to really know who I am per se. So when I'm traveling with the group or when I'm performing duties as the official inquisitor, I have an inquisitor's mask that I wear. And I can then remove it and hang out in like taverns or whatnot to kind of gather information just by being somewhat inconspicuous and listening.
So that's interesting. So you have what kind of mask is it?
Well, I haven't really figured out completely, but it was kind of like one of those wrestling masks, a lucha mask, like the Mexican wrestlers wear. So something that's not easy to take off. So somebody can't just come by and swipe it off, But
you might well wear it with the hood on and things like that as well, so like the back would be covered.
The hood on.
It's depending on the conditions and what you might want to do with it. It can be anything from say a smiley face to a skull to whatever it is you want it to be. So whenever you do decide what maybe it looks like, go ahead and
I kind of thought about like the Guy Fawkes mask, like they used in V, something like that would be, because it's kind of nondescript, but still kind of unsettling because it's just
not full Halloween, that kind of thing. Not full Michael Myers or anything like that, but more of like a
caricature.
Yeah, exactly, a caricature.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Okay. So that sets up an interesting thing because Maximilian, as is his image, also wears a mask. It is a full helm, mirrored helm. So when someone looks up into the face of the judge, they see themselves reflected and slightly distorted by it.
Ooh, nice.
Also covered in a head. And given his tremendous height to begin with, it's all about intimidation and influence.
Oh, that's fantastic. Excellent
I
work
don't
there.
really trust anyone who would show their true face. Well, I don't really trust anyone who wouldn't show their true face.
So perhaps that's a thing between Inquisition, the judges, and other aspects of the kingdom authorities, is that they're anonymous forces of whatever they're there for.
That's really interesting now. But you're right though, because you are the tax collector. You don't collect taxes anonymously. It's obviously very important who you are, and that you are basically the authority by sort of the fact that everyone knows. Yes, as a matter of fact, you are the tax collector, and that also means that you can, if they can't pay, then that's, depending on who is collecting taxes, a good or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing.
Yes. All right. And you got basically that the queen had beheaded the king, and the queen herself is, as far as people can tell, essentially immortal.
Right.
Yep.
That's why I figured, well, not just that, but what else he wrote to us before, is that probably the indoctrination for certain officials is probably various levels of sinister in nature, and pretty harsh.
So before we get started heading into it, in the guise of your character, essentially where your character would be, how much do you think the realm is a good place and the queendom is a good thing? We'll start with you, Corky.
Oh, gee, thanks.
You're top of my list. I'm going in order as to XSplit to make things nice and easy.
Sure. Well, you know, like any realm, there are good and bad, and spots that might be better than others. So, you know, I don't know, maybe 50-50. Being a neutral character, that's kind of my outlook on things, anyways, right?
Sure. And how about you, Harker?
I don't trust it. I tend not to trust people, though. I tend to be out in the wild most of the time. So I would rather be with the animals than be with people. So I'm a little leery of this whole beheading thing and what's going on right now.
Well, so what the beheading actually happened hundreds of years ago. It's much as really probably 400 or 500 years ago. You know, as long as there has been a generation of your people, it has been under the Queen's rule. It's still known as the Kingdom because clearly that is an important part of why the world is how it is, right? This is the Kingdom as enforced by the Queen, since the Queen has now, you know, been in charge for 500 years or so. It is her world, and it is now the Queendom. And that basically makes it an eternal rule, because she is immortal, and she is in charge, and it was done in a way that was completely by the rules. You know, you do behead the king to become the next king, if they have no heir especially. And the only person left was the queen. And this was done with the king's, not only the king's permission, but the king's blessing. The king was like, yes, this is how we ensure our rule for the whole time to come. So the head is on a pike, and I'm going to spare you a picture of it. But the king's head remains on a spike to this day in the central public space. It's skull-like, it's not rotten, but it is certainly dry, shall we say. And it is a place where people like the king's or the queen's hunters will kneel down and basically pay respect to it for creating the kingdom and then worshiping it before engaging in their tasks. Do you wish to do so?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
tradition.
All right, so as you are basically sitting down there doing your praying, which is also often a convenient place where people are picked up by other dignitaries to be brought to their mission, no one less than the general of the Queen's Guard walks himself up to you and says, "Queen's Hunters, it is a good day to see you. May fortune shine upon you."
And you, sir.
Thank you, sir, and yourself.
Good day to you, sir.
You've been called to the General of the Queen's Guard, who conducts the business of the Hunters. Although your investigations were previously within several days or so of the Endless Castle, you've made a name for yourself as particularly talented and exceptional hunters. So the General comes up to you and says, "You are truly among the best of the Queen's Hunters. And as such, we have an extremely important mission for you. I would like you to come with me so that we can discuss it further."
Very well.
You find yourself going in procession into the Endless Castle, which is basically what you would think. It's a castle that is not just very tall, but also very deep. and goes quite a bit under the earth as well as necessary, because after all, there's a lot of space that involves the queen, and there's a certain distance by which nobody other than the approved should be within distance of the queen. So, the Endless Castle is indeed quite large. Do you wish to basically do anything before you meet the queen herself?
I would look around as we were walking through, just to kind of make a note of anything, the decorations and
I quickly glance,
accoutrement of an endless castle.
quickly glance to make sure that my uniform basically is in order.
Yep.
Which I assume it is.
That's the same thing I was going to say.
I've got that bear.
Yeah.
Sure I don't have any kitty fur on
That's
me.
from the last of the minis I was going to show off here. I've got, this is the only one of them I had the guts to paint. It was a Ral Partha one of the giant and werebear, and I really like the giant and the werebear. So, pretty cool.
I'll see about getting you some pictures about some of the stuff I've got for sale. Because I've got buckets of Roll Partha and Grenader stuff.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have indeed piqued my interest. We will have to speak after the show. Yeah.
I'm making a mental accounting of that.
So, if you guys want to, remember you can have up Twitch chat. I would recommend you not have up the Twitch Fantasy Grounds page. You will be seeing my version of the screen, which isn't going to be the end of the world. I have it set up that it's probably fine if that's what works out best for you. But at the same time,
you can pop out chat.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Oh, yeah? How do you
I do
pop
want to
chat?
welcome Grizzly and Riva, Druid's Fire, and Agent Brigman, Edward Teat, Tyler Cause. It's really nice to see Slippery Bees I see in chat at one point, and there's about almost 30 people in chat, including presumably us. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. Just a quick reminder before we get too far along as well that we are indeed sponsored by Fantasy Grounds. This is something that we were able to do to give us some additional licensing in exchange for a little bit of promotion, which is actually, I think, a very cool thing, because we have found using Fantasy Grounds really helps us make this all happen. And they're also their official line is the most supported virtual tabletop, with more official licenses than any other virtual tabletop, and that is, as far as I can tell, fact. So that's all very cool, and you can find out more at fantasygrounds.com. All right, so you are brought to the central chambers of the Queen. You have been stripped of your armor and all that sort of thing, and you're wearing your basic hunter's robes, which are generally, a mix of colors and styles of however you want, but mostly just cloth and hard to hide a knife in. And you are brought to the Queen's chambers. Do you see that in your chat?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And you just can kind of see how it's a very royal but also very quiet place. And then, before you know it, you see the Queen herself sitting at a writing table. She's sitting there writing in a little book, and all is quiet. AFK for a minute here. Gonna get some new water, and I'll be right back. You guys can sort of talk quietly amongst yourselves as you would in character, and sort of talk, kind of give a little bit about what this scene it seems like to your character.
Well, if the queen's sitting there, I'm not going to say a word.
I was about ready to say, wait to be spoken to.
Yeah, I am going to try to see everything that I can see. Like, if there's any way possible to possibly spy what she's actually writing, I would love to do that.
I'm just going to curtsy to her, and I'm going to continue just finishing up. I was quickly sketching a map of the place as we were coming through.
So, it's worth saying that Maximilian is, in fact, one of the tallest people you've probably ever seen. Just right out. And he still seems somewhat hunched over. Only bring that up because it might be important in case stuff happens.
In other words, everybody hide behind Max.
I didn't say I was the thickest person you've ever seen, just the tallest.
I should have no trouble hiding my little halfling self behind him.
Nope.
You could get one of those riding platforms.
I might be more than 3 halflings tall. And mostly that's used because he's always looking down at somebody, so that's what the mask helps with too.
Somebody in chat said Max gets all the rebounds.
Yeah.
Is the queen eating a pomegranate?
Yes, it's actually, however,
It's rather symbolic.
yeah, sort of not quite a full pomegranate as we know it. It's more that it has kind of a gelatinous texture that most do not. By the way, if anybody can name that picture, you will get an inspiration.
It's Dante Gabriel Rossetti's Persephone.
Ah, you got it. Awesome. Lantana, you've got an inspiration die.
Yay!
All right, is everyone good to go then? All right, so
Yep.
you are in the central ruling chamber, where the queen is currently writing in a thick tome while psychically talking to you. Her presence is known inside of your head, so while her head itself is down and writing in the chamber, you hear her voice coming into your skull, basically. She says, "At our far reaches, far beyond the pillars of civilization, beyond most of the mapped land, to the northeastern edge of the known world, reports have come back from a town called Stock, an outpost for travel, supplies, and order, that they have lost the daughter of the official representative of the queen there. I would like you to travel there, despite the hardship that I realize this is, due to the sensitive nature of this campaign, and due to the fact that I know you have proven yourself truly worthy to be called the Queen's Hunters. You were to collect the tax left undelivered by the official representative, acquire new tax, figure out why you are being called there, why the daughter is missing, and why the representative failed to do the Queen's rule up to this point. For I have not actually received taxation from this official representative since travel up there, about 12 or so moons ago."
Shocking.
Out of character, please tell me this missing daughter's name is not Annabelle.
Do you wish to say anything in particular? You can basically think it out loud if you want to, because she's clearly reading your mind.
Question. Lucrezia, she is also an official representative of the Queen, right? This is no relation, no connection. Just 2 people with the same role.
What now?
No, that is the same role. You are correct. Yep.
But has nothing to do with Lucrezia. I mean, it's not a relative, perhaps, who's disappointed our queen so great.
It is indeed a representative who seems to have disobeyed their services. However, I am a realistic queen, and this is particularly far into the edge of my realm. So sometimes it can be difficult, and depending on what befell the rest of the Queen's Hunters with this, official representative, I would not want to judge at this point. That is another reason why you are going. It is up to you to be my eyes, my ears, and to understand what is going on, what needs to be done, and afford the Queen's rule.
So, Your Majesty, is there any place where we could find any additional information on the background of the representative who went to that place.
Yes, I believe the general of the Queen's Guard will be traveling with you at least part of the way and can brief you further as we go along.
Have there been reports of any monsters or strange animals near this village?
Not that I've seen these reports. It's simply been a report that the official representative of the Queen's daughter has gone missing, and the official representative felt it significant enough to reach out to me, despite knowing that they've been struggling to conduct my rule for more than a year. I would also mention, as long as you were heading out that direction, that I've been to that region but once. I was very young, maybe 12 seasons old, and I went into a particularly deep and ancient forest near the town there while my father was conducting business. While there, I had some of the best fruit I've ever eaten. She ponders and looks at the pomegranate-like object and says, "That one was an apple. It's among the most delicious I've ever had, and I would like you, if possible, to bring back some seeds of these apples that can be planted in my royal garden."
Let's see. I've got enough survival. If I'm not mistaken, apples, if grown from seeds, can come out very bitter and sour. So cuttings would be an excellent suggestion as well.
That sounds great. Okay. Absolutely. If you have nothing further, I will have the general call you. Let's see if that works. Okay, whisper. Did that work? Did you get something?
Might take a minute.
In Fantasy Grounds chat? No.
Yes. Corky?
I have not seen anything come in, no.
I tried to do a whisper. Whisper character message. All right, so whisper.
Okay.
Corky. Do you think I need to do the full name? Maybe.
You might have to, I don't know.
Ah, there we go. Yep, I did have to do the full name. So
Yep,
presumably
I got
not
that.
everybody. Okay, you got that?
I do indeed.
All right.
And how do I reply?
Well, it depends. You are all psychically linked while in conversation with the Queen, but you will be leaving here to go speak to the General of the Guard.
No, I realize that, but, without trying to tip anything off, the Queen has said something to me. I want to reply back to her, but not necessarily have anybody else hear it. I'm just saying, how do I do that in Fantasy Grounds?
Well, don't worry about how. Oh, and okay, it should be /whisper or /w space GM space message.
No, that didn't seem to work. Or did it?
No, unfortunately, I didn't get anything. Yeah. Oh, I think if you simply right-click on the GM button, you can do a prompt icon.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, let me do this the analog way then. I am going to temporarily mute people from live audio chat and Discord, and you can just talk to me.
Well, that should work.
Oh, heavens.
All right. Everyone else should be off. So what is it you're going to say?
I was. Uh-oh.
Yep. Speaketh thou mind. Are you not able to talk?
No, I'm able to talk. I think you can hear me. Yes.
Yes. So what is it you are saying to the queen?
And hopefully nobody else can hear me. Okay.
Yep. Nobody else can hear you, unless they had the audio of Twitch chat open. But don't worry about it.
No, they're saying that they can hear you, but you're not hearing them. But I'm hearing them.
Yes. Oh, let me see.
So everybody else can still hear us, but you apparently can't hear them.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm going to try to deafen the server. Let's see. Nope. All right, well, it's not worth it. Can you just text it to me in Discord?
Well, I suppose I could still answer you, and they wouldn't know exactly what you were saying, and then you could just reply to me back in a whisper, I suppose.
I'm just going to unmute people. We'll just, how about you say whatever it is you're going to say, and you would be saying
now
to the
I
queen.
can't hear you. Apparently am deafened.
I can't hear you now. Can you hear us?
Okay,
I can hear
so
you now.
deafen works.
Yep, everyone
Is it
should be
safe?
okay now. Everyone should
All
be
right.
fine. Now, we didn't actually get to accomplish what we wanted to do, unfortunately.
This would have been a great cell phone commercial. Can you
But nonetheless,
And honestly,
What?
if I was in character, I probably would have listened to everything.
but when I do the
That
emote
was a
list, it
fail.
says it should just be space W or /W space GM and then space message, right? So it should just be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think GM has to be in uppercase too. I think it's case sensitive, if I remember right.
How did that work?
Well, that's good to know.
Yep, that worked. Okay.
Okay, so basically I would have said, been polite and said, Your Majesty, and then type that.
Okay.
Are we within range to see what the queen is reading? Or
Writing.
writing?
For some reason, it almost seems like it needs to be done twice. Oh, okay.
I'm really curious if it's like the queen's burn book.
So my thought was, well, the good news is she wants to eat, food.
Nice.
Yeah, if she's immortal, why does she? Well, I guess she just likes the taste.
That fruit
Maybe
sure
it's
does look
all-
weird, is all I'm saying.
Maybe it's all a ploy to think you think she likes the taste and she's eating it.
If this fruit is so rare, it must be very valuable.
I wonder if it has healing properties.
Well, I mean, she hasn't had one in over 400 years, so hopefully they're still there.
That
very
is,
filling.
after all,
There we
your
go.
job, right?
Yes,
I'm not sure why the first one won't bounce out, but maybe I'd need to do it twice or something. But anyways, there we go. Okay.
Okay. Cool. So you were on a long distance trip. You are down on the lower dot there, and you're heading up far to the edge of the kingdom. about as far as the kingdom can still be. You know, for many, many days of travel, you're seeing city, you know, the Grand Kingdom, the great endless castle and all the rest. Obviously, there are quite a large number of people in this part of the civilization. And as you get past the mountain range and into the desert, you see a lot of trade. You know, it's a relatively decent way to set up a lot of shops. So it's a popular trade route. And there are multiple places along the way where you can get tackle, things for your caravan, things for weapons if you need to, things for whatever. It is a very law-abiding area because it is, after all, the main road heading into the Endless Castle. But you can see that it itself is a very vast area.
If we pass any way stations or places where tariffs would be applied, I'm certainly going to keep my eyes open. Make sure that everyone is behaving accordingly.
Yeah. Lawbreakers would be in grave error, I believe.
You're basically around this area here. So is there anything you want to do sort of along the main trade route before you head all the way off to the east there?
I want to make sure I have an ample supply of quills and parchment with which to map our progress.
That is actually, you know, one of the main reasons why you're there, right? This is a vast, vast kingdom, and even in places where people have mapped officially before, it never hurts to have another version. They've learned over the years that while each map maker may be able to bring their own style to it, if you have 100 map makers, you can generally get a pretty accurate picture of the area. As it changes, you know, to the buildings, the names, who owns what, and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of an ever-expanding map, and that's why you're actually an extremely important group. Particularly as you get to the edge of the kingdom, you are going to be going to some of the least mapped sections of Eternya here. So it's going to be a very crucial mission on your behalf to try to get this done. But you also know that it doesn't have to be the most accurate thing in the world. It needs to be what you see, what you interpret, and that'll be crowdsourced essentially by future visitors there, if it's the Queen's decision. Anything else?
Not for me.
Should we perhaps ask people if they've ever heard of this wondrous
Yes.
fruit?
And there was the captain of the guard that we were going to be traveling with, that who could brief us more about our quarry or our,
Yep. Yeah, what do you want to know from the General of the Guard?
the general of the guard. I want to know who this person was, who was an official of the Queen, and how they had failed her so dreadfully.
We don't
Well, you know,
actually...
general background on how they were appointed to the position in the first place.
Yes.
What did they used to do? What you know, positions that they held? You know.
Yeah, I don't actually know too much about this guy, the general says. It was one of those things where he's been in the area enough that it made sense to have that person be the official representative. They had made a name for themselves in local politics, but I have never personally met them, and it is a particularly remote section of the world. While I don't speak for the Queen, I would imagine, based on my own history, that collecting tax from that particular section is not among her highest priorities. However, apparently she has an interest to that region now because of the apples.
So there's no particular riches other than these apples that this area is known for?
It's just known for being really the back end, shall we say, of the entire civilization. It's so far away from the Queen's rule that
What do they
we don't
trade?
actually know what we're going into here too
Well,
much.
distance does cause that to a location.
Mm-hmm. They've maybe been feeding the Queen's, you know, taxes closer, perhaps, if we wish to think the best of the current
Was this representative a native of the
official
area?
representative. I don't know.
Do we know their name?
Yes, Maximilian.
Irony.
Interesting.
Oh.
All right. So, eventually the desert turns to the coastline, and at the coastline you are commandeered on a large vessel. You cross really the ocean there. It's it's a couple-week journey. It's certainly not fun if you aren't the type to have your sea legs. And when you do get to the other side, you really realize just how difficult and why this entire section of the kingdom becomes far more and more remote. You've gone past the trade area. You went past a lot of the parts of civilization of which the common people live. Lots of farmland, of course, heading to the coast because they don't want to be having to ship across an ocean there. So lots and lots of farmland, and then eventually you get to the coast itself, which, is the very whatever trade comes from the sea, including fish and oils and things of that nature. And you do cross over into the great ocean and end on the other side where it is heavy, deep woods, tall, craggy cliffs and mountains, and a far less explored part of the world. Have you ever been to a place like this, and what was it like?
It sounds actually like the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania, which is, rather somebody was really optimistic when they named it, but it's like this very it's nothing like the Grand Canyon, but there's a lot of trees, a lot of rocks. I've climbed up and down it several times. There's a river at the bottom. But yeah, when I'm thinking like trees and big rocks and stuff like that, that's what it sounds like to me. Either that or Sedona, Arizona, which is much, much drier, but similar, many, many trees, but also big rocks.
Interesting. I think, of course, the Smokies, because we're at the foothills of them. So, also vast areas where there's not that many people and wooded, but more, moist. And of course, misty.
So keep an eye out for moonshine stills.
Hey, if so, that's things that can be brought back for taxation.
Sure.
Banjo's playing.
Certainly.
So, do we also know the Maximilian's daughter's name?
No, that actually isn't known either.
Do we have any idea about what age she might be?
No, that's why you're going out there. This is not a place where there's a lot of communication. So,
So we might be looking for a child, but we might be looking for an adult woman.
It could be the rumor of a child. We could be looking for ghosts that don't exist.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, I guess it depends on what happened to that representative we haven't heard anything from.
Right. So from this coast...
Do we have anyone... Go ahead.
So from this coast we're at, how far of a travel is this to where we're going?
An exceptionally large distance. I mean, we're talking to get out all the way to Stock here, you're really looking at perhaps at least several hundred moons. So it's a long ways. I guess if I can go out of character for a second, it's a little bit like going from, say, the southern tip of Africa to perhaps London.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So we're going to need new shoes.
What kind of, are we traveling in wagons? Are we doing it all on foot and going from like that to like boats or something? If there's a waterway or... I mean, I know we sailed, but inland, how are we traveling?
Well, mostly by official cart. So there's going to be a progression of, at the start, generally some sort of travel security, that the Queen's Hunters tend to have. They just to kind of get people out of the area.
Carrying capacity.
Yep, you have all the carrying capacity you want.
If we have to seize excise payment in goods.
Well, I mean, if it really comes to, say,
well, I'm hoping it won't come to that.
Bringing military force to a town, that would be something you would report back, and then you would probably have dealt with in the future. It wouldn't be something that you would surprise a community with. shall you say. It's not necessary, because all you need to do is show up, and what that means is not something you typically have to enforce.
I certainly prefer the convenience of portable tithes.
So prior to actually leaving port, is there any type of library or storehouse of information that might have some additional information on where we're going?
Not really. That's one of the main reasons why it's not just the hunters going, or it's not just a security along with the judge and official representative or something of that nature. I mean, it's a full adventuring group here, because you're heading out to among the most distant parts of Eternya, so having it mapped, having further knowledge of the area, what's going to be going on, how much do they know about the Queen's rule, how much do they support it. These are all things you're going to be documenting and resolving when you feel necessary.
So is the mapping the reason that we're going across land versus going around, sailing around? Or is it untraversable waters or something that...
Yeah, it's, the general shape of Eternia here, but when it comes down to what is in this part of the woods, maybe no one's really been there, so they make assumptions, and you fill in those gaps over time with multiple people going through it, things like that. Think of it in the same way Google Maps works at this point. It's a really important part of your job, but it's not one that they're going to send you to an area that's already infinitely known. That's why you're going out, in part, as a cartographer to these far sections of the world, along with, say, being a tax collector to establish the tax, a judge, since they haven't had an official Queen's judge there for quite some time. If they have any matters they need to take care of or what have you, perhaps that's some services you could provide, that kind of thing.
Portable low justice.
Yep. All right, so as you're going, you go through the woods quite a bit, and one of the areas you get to is kind of known as a mining area. It's kind of on the eastern side of the mountains. Now, it is a long ways from, say, the Endless Castle and things like that, but at the same time, there's particularly valuable mining things that come from there, and it's well situated to be able to extract it from the earth, so they do have a little bit more of that. And it reminds you, in part, that you have a blunderbuss, and a lot of the gunpowder that comes from your blunderbuss comes from these mines. So as a matter of fact, you get to stop and get to acquire a large quantity of really pure, really fresh gunpowder. So now might be a time to explain to the campaign world and to you participants what exactly we are doing here with the blunderbuss. So yes, there is a unique item to this campaign that I'm introducing, which is a blunderbuss, a little bit like a rifle. And here's how it works. It's a simple projectile weapon, it's slow to load, and it has the potential for huge damage. So it's a simple ranged weapon, and it weighs about 5 pounds, and it's a ranged attack. It is 1d12 piercing damage. Reason being it's 1d12 is it could be a 12, meaning a very strong hit, or it could be a 1, meaning it just sort of grazed, because it's not the most accurate thing in the world. However, if you roll a natural 18, 19, or 20, you instantly kill your target. You essentially hit them at a area vital to life, and they are dropped down like a brick. It takes 2 rounds to do this. So you will fire 1 round, and then until you choose to go not just that round that you fire, but also the round afterwards, standing still and loading, you cannot fire it again.
Does that negate any bonus actions you might have?
Yes, that means that you do nothing except load your blunderbuss, because it is a blunderbuss, and it is not exactly the easiest thing in the world to load, but it does shoot out a large, cloud of very powerful stuff that could graze, or it could basically blow something's head off.
I will take this moment to mention that mine didn't make it back onto my character.
Yep, let me take care of that. Yep.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, was that yours?
Give me that back.
we just updated the
I thought
a
this
couple
was
of
just
characters here right
confiscation.
before.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Actually, no,
would be
yours
a
was already
reasonable-
on the sheet. Oh no, it's Tabiana. Sorry about that. I picked the wrong person.
Lucrezia.
Lucrezia. There you go.
What would be a reasonable amount of ammunition?
Enough for say a dozen shots in terms of what you can carry on you, but in terms of the caravan here, basically as much as you could possibly need.
No, we just had, at least on mine, it just had 0, so that's why I was wondering. So I want to,
Yeah,
load
I'm not
whatever
going
ammo
too picky about it. Because especially this is just a 3-session campaign, it's unlikely you're going to run out of shot unless you would choose to do that every single round, at which point you might find yourself low.
Right. No, that's fine. I just, just
I
from
guess
a
that's what we could do. Everybody
housekeeping
could get,
standpoint.
Guys,
we
let's
could have a
not have
stack
a
of
skeet shooting
blunderbusses.
tournament.
And just one person's like, what do you do? I shoot the blunderbuss.
Well, you can. Like I say, so basically if you say, I want to shoot with the blunderbuss, that means you have not moved to get to that location. You shoot, and that means you do not move. You don't have a bonus action. And then the next round afterwards, you can do nothing but not move and load the weapon. And then on that third round, you can shoot again. That's why
What
a lot
if
of times
you choose
blunderbusses...
not to reload?
See, we just need a dedicated person that we can fire the gun to, toss them the gun, they can reload it for us while we do other stuff.
Probably.
I mean, this is...
Strategically, whoever's the best shot should probably engage with these things.
It's also
Yeah.
something that tends to be often done at the start of battle. Something is approaching you and you're trying to take it down. Or at the very end of a battle when you've got time to load it and perhaps take care of business.
And I think I missed what was the range of the blunderbuss.
Well, you did not miss it. I've created a item, but I haven't figured out how to give it a range outside of sort of the range it has. So I'm going to say 60 feet for basically short and medium, and for long would be anything beyond 60 feet. You'll have disadvantage on your attack. Anything else?
Okay.
All right. So you head through the woods and eventually get past the mining area and go deep, deep into very rural land. You do see a lot of wildlife. If you would like to do some hunting or that sort of thing, this might be a place to do so. Otherwise, you're basically taking several moons to get to the town called Stock that you are actually here to find out more.
As we get closer to the town, is anything like tweaking our danger senses? Does everything seem normal?
No, you're really along. I mean, you are part of a large enough group at this point that, to Stock at least, you are the owners of the road. So at that point, you went mostly through your typical travel routes, and then as it got more and more remote, you just use a straight line. You do have some people with you that know how to map quite well, and so there's no real issues there. You eventually
Sadly,
had...
your cartographer's not one of them.
Sorry, what's that?
I said, sadly, the cartographer's probably not one of them.
Nice.
My version of hunting, if we're at camp and like a rabbit hops too close, I'll throw a dagger at it.
So, do I need to catch us food?
No, I mean, you don't have to. There are dry rations. However, you are not going to be necessarily with the group the whole time. So at some point you will be, being dropped off at the town, and then you will stay there. So if you wish something, you might want to let it be known.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay, so everything seems normal. We're not seeing like screaming peasants running away or...
No, although you do notice that as you get closer to the town of Stock, that there's not a lot of good farm fields. You see perhaps some diseased corn, some areas of wheat that have clearly been picked bone dry, presumably because that was actually something that came up. You see a lot of it's kind of signs of arid, dry temperatures. And basically, it's probably not been a very good season for them.
So am I seeing any bunnies I can throw daggers at, or there's a lack of small, adorable woodland creatures?
Well, I mean, they're not bunnies per se. They're not bunnies per se, but they're known as, dry beasts because they tend to sit there in areas where everything has dried out. They love kind of this late part of fall when all that's left is husks of things and things to crunch on and munch on and turn to nests and that sort of thing. And you've heard you can eat them.
Are they small and cute?
That's somewhat subjective. I guess it's a little furry ball of pink fluff.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely throwing a dagger at that.
Okay. Yeah, you spear one. Its pink is stained with its blue blood, and you now have one.
Oh, let's roast it and see what they taste like.
Also, I don't want to walk. I don't want
I
to walk in front of
suspect
Lantana.
coppery.
Pink and fluffy with a coppery tinge. It sounds delicious.
Can I get one of the feet from that thing?
Oh, boy.
Certainly. I can spare a foot. It's got at least 2.
Okay, so because you caught it and you killed it and you are the one eating it, tell me what it tastes like.
Chicken?
But just kind of round and it's not a really juicy meat. Not as much gravy as perhaps one would want, so I have to wash it down with a little bit of extra water. But it does have a fair amount of, it's just enough fat that it's not completely tasteless.
Anyone else have a comment about the taste of this particular woodland creature, the dry beast?
A little
I
dry.
don't know. Did she actually share with us, or did she just keep it all for herself?
Oh, well, you got a foot.
Well, no, I got a foot, and that's great. That's what.
No
I
one
want.
else asked for anything but a foot.
No, that's fine. That's all I want.
All right.
I'm just saying, you didn't necessarily offer any meat to anybody. You just kind of.
Well, I'm not going to assume that anyone actually wants anything.
I mean, you do tend to find those little pink hairs kind of get into your teeth and stuff, but you have to skin it off pretty good.
I mean, sharing kind of seems irrational.
So as you make your way finally to a dry, arid region, it's clear that they've had a terrible year for crops. You can just only assume that they are going to know enough about their region to be able to have stored enough aside.
And if not, that explains some taxation issues.
Perhaps.
Is anybody else having issues with the town square edited map?
It's still loading for me.
Still
Loading.
loading.
Okay.
Does anyone have the insight as to whether or not? No, never mind. I'm thinking about it myself.
So my whole intent with the foot is I want to preserve it, so it's a foot. Well, it's like a rabbit's foot.
Good luck, charm. Yeah.
I'm contemplating the value of perhaps importing some of these small dry beasts and see if maybe we can adapt them into a wet beast formula. Might be a food source that could be profited from. Maybe we could have different puff colors, not just pink, but maybe purple.
Try getting one and feeding it to the livestock, see if they'll eat it or something.
The royal colors. Yeah, perhaps, peasants perhaps would enjoy this as a delicacy.
How about a present as pets for the queen?
Well, she didn't mention this from her journey here before. Perhaps they didn't exist, but I think we should bring one back. I'll try to restrain myself from throwing knives at the next one we see.
Perhaps we should catch a male and a female.
Oh,
But how
great.
can
They're going to
one
multiply
tell?
like rabbits, right?
I've already singed off any parts if there were identification marks.
I do not know who would like to be the one to attempt to determine which are the males and which are the females.
Well, that would be our hunter person, right? They know about small things and little creatures.
Yeah, you would assume that would be the hunter's job for sure.
Comes
Yeah.
to mind about the small things would not be suitable for family-friendly shows. So
Even you're sounding a little quiet to me right now.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
know
I
if
was
it's
trying to do
the
too. I actually
mic or
turned you
whatever.
up just a
oh,
little bit.
is that any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I had moved my mic so I could get a drink of iced tea.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so eventually you make your way to the town of Stock. You see a lot of rubbish, some dead carcasses, kind of sitting out there in the woods. They
Carcasses?
clearly have been a place that hasn't been particularly well loved in some time, and it's very dry and dirty there. You
I
do
hope there
see
isn't a sanitation department collecting wages.
You definitely don't see much in the way of sanitation here. They definitely don't have the aqueducts and things of that nature that would be in the Endless Castle. You hope that they at least have outhouses.
Is there anything that we might be gleaned from just like an insight check on some of this rubbish, or is it just rubbish?
Yeah, just rubbish. The detritus of civilization, kind of guts of animals and leftover bits from crops and moldy bread and all that sort of thing. And it's just clearly a place where there's not. If something is edible, it's been eaten, and otherwise it's left to largely rot. So when you get into the town square with the travel of stock, the first thing that happens is, the general of the guard, who is with you for now, but will be soon turning around, sits up in the middle of the town square, gets off his horse, and hands the horse to other people in your party to really take care of them and find a stable for them and that sort of thing. And that goes the same for your particular horses and that as well. You can see there is a caravan on the map here. That's one of your really kind of personal supplies cart, one that doesn't store a lot of rations and food and kind of large group traveling supplies, but is particularly the stuff that you will need that you put into the caravan.
We've got the caravan. Are there a couple of bone mounds with rats too? Okay, never mind.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I get it now. You should be able to put yourself on the map wherever it is you'd like to be. There are general townspeople around, kind of milling about. This is the town's main kind of entrance point, so there's a lot of trade going on and kind of general goods and services. You see to the left part of the map, there is a bench, and then to the left of that, there is a raised platform-like stage. That stage is not just used for music and dance and official ceremony, but of course it's also where people are put to death if they need to be. So there is a headman's axe over there, a block, and they've taken it down unless they need it, but they can also set up a place to hang people by.
I am not having luck dropping my character onto the map.
Oh no. Is it something
Where
I
do we
did?
grab it from?
The combat tracker? I should be able to take care of you.
I think that ends up being you putting us on there.
Harker
Yeah,
just
I
did it
can't
on...
drag it.
Harker did it no problem, so I'm not quite sure.
Well,
what
I
to do.
just automatically popped on. I didn't actually do that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I'm not sure why I just showed up when that map loaded in.
All right. So anyway, people should be largely set up to where they want to be. There's, of course, a lot of people around town. There is a couple of people who are there to keep the peace, as it were, when necessary. But what would you like to do?
You said there was some trade going on. What kind of trade with the decreased, I guess, bounty that we've seen in the surrounding area? What kind of trades are they doing?
That's actually a very good point. It tends to be a lot of wood, a lot of tools, a little bit of wheat. Clearly that is going for a pretty high rate. As a matter of fact, if the party could make a... Let's see, what kind of check? I'll have you roll your first die. How about we go to...
Insight is reading people.
Yeah.
Insight check?
Yep.
In the tower or out?
In the towers. Sure.
Insight is, so there it is.
I gotta uncover the tower.
Yeah, that's what I had to do.
Oh, by the way, in case you don't know, you can actually unlock the tower and move it over wherever you want.
Okay, it should be in the lower right, though. Is that correct?
That's where the default is, the lower right, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Lucrezia and Maximilian. Perhaps it's because you've traveled a little bit farther out of, the immediate center of the realm that you would know these things. But you've seen some starvation in your time. And you notice that not only are the shopkeepers fairly gaunt, but most of the people around who are doing business seem to be fairly skinny and unhealthy, as it were. Now they're all alive. They're able to conduct daily business, but clearly this is a place where there has not been a lot of kind of food-like activity for some time. At the very least, they're not eating a lot of,
There's not much bounty.
yeah, they're not eating it anyway.
Does this look more like a long-term kind of starvation, or last year things started going bad, kind of?
I don't know that you would actually know that. How would you know the difference?
Well, I'm not sure. I guess, well, have we seen any children?
That's a very good question. As a matter of fact, you have not seen any children here. All you're really seeing appears to be what might be the main heads of household, people who do a lot of business, servants perhaps of those, if there's even any servants around here. It's hard to say. I mean, this seems to be a pretty one level of society kind of village. This isn't a huge place. However, it is called Stock, and the reason it was called Stock is at one point it was really the furthest known piece of civilization that was a part of the regular trade routes and things like that. So, but there's not a lot of people here to be eating. As a matter of fact, you've never been here before, but you would have assumed that there would be more people here.
Is there a mayor and or a sheriff around?
Well, the official representative is who you are here to see. But
Right.
you definitely do not see a Maximilian there.
Can we ask what direction their house is? Their
Or do we see like a town hall looking kind of place? Or...
You do not.
Well, that's okay. That's easy. I'll stop one of these heads of household type people who looks like they're more in town on a more regular basis. And Goodman, where is the authorities here? Who runs the town?
What? What do you mean who runs the town? We get stuff done and... What?
Who does so? Who
does-
normally... Yeah, who arranges when things need to be done?
Oh, well... Oh, that would probably be the council, I guess.
Okay, and where is that?
Well, if they're a little bit off, when they meet about once every couple of moons or so in the kind of a town square space, a little northwest of here, but they're not meeting right now.
Are they specific people? And if so, do you know where they are?
Well, I don't know them very well, but I suppose if you have a place where you only have to meet once every couple of days, a tavern might not be a place to stop.
Okay, where is the nearest one?
The nearest tavern, you'll find that just spitting distance northeast here.
Okay. Are there several? Or one?
Well, no, this place is big enough. There's a bunch here. It depends on where you want to go, I guess. What are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking for those in charge. We are missing somebody for this town.
All right. Well, why don't you go on up? He points over to the northeast here, part of the map. Let me see if I can actually put a pin. How do I put a pin? There we go.
and one of the market people, out of what they're selling, you described wood, you described some wheat. Is there any small things that one could purchase just to do a test transaction?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds like something you could absolutely do. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll just purchase one plank and put it on our caravan.
Yeah,
How
okay.
much would they charge me for that?
Well, they see clearly enough. I mean, they don't really know much about the hunters there, but they see an armed group of people when they see one. So they pretty much just let you take it.
They let me take it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if you can see.
They almost act like they don't have any organized government, and yet they're doing the right thing.
Nice.
Corky, you're the Inquisitor, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Would you mind taking this person's name so we can so they can be accommodated for their assistance?
Certainly. Good sir, what is your name that we might...
My name is Johan. Why? Why are you laughing, fine sir? Why are you making fun of my name? Who are you people? Why are you here?
I am here as the Queen's representative, and she is missing a friend of hers, and we are here to look for him.
The Queen is missing many things. We're here to investigate.
Why?
Well, then you should definitely make your way up to the tavern. If I draw on this map, can you see it?
I see
there's
like some
circles
scribbly
around
circles.
Yeah. All right, so that's the way to... I'll try to figure out if I can do a thicker version of it, but for now, that's the way to the tavern.
Okay. What is circled is the tavern.
Yes.
Farewell.
You
Onward
get
to the tavern.
Is there any name on the tavern? Any kind of signage?
Yes. The Rooster and Kitten.
Best not to ask why.
Farewell.
Yeah.
Let me see what I've got for images. Okay, so you are now in the main tavern of the Rooster and Kitten, and you see a lot of people drinking. You know, at the very least, if they're starving to death, they're definitely not dehydrated. What do you wish to do?
Is there an empty table?
I want to drink as soon as possible.
All right,
Me too.
there is an empty table, and you do attract some attention as clear outsiders. Eventually, a proprietor says, what can I get for you, sirs?
I want a mug of ale, but when I get this mug of ale, I want to like kind of hang around at the bar and watch them pour a draft, just to see how much of it is foam.
Well, as a matter of fact, it seems to be fairly flat, so there's not a lot of foam on it. But
Oh, delightful!
but they are putting the proper, half an inch from the lid, from the top of the mug, just the Queen's portion.
So I'm going to ask him. The name of your establishment is the Rooster and Kitten. Do you serve either of those here?
No.
Do you really want the answer to that?
Please say no.
No, we would never do something like that. The roosters simply tell us when it's morning, and the kittens help take care of the mice. What can I get for you? I mean, I guess we do have like some rooms here if you guys want to stay here. What can I do to make such esteemed folks as yourself happy?
I need to keep my wits about me should I be needed to heal. And also I want to make sure that my healing powers are at their maximum, so I would like a glass of broccoli juice.
Broccoli juice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Actually,
So would they.
Let me see what's. I'm sorry,
Water would be
cartographer,
fine.
Queen's hunter. But vegetables are hard to come by at this time, and the only broccoli juice I have is probably not fit for consumption by one like yourself.
Water will be fine.
Okay. You get a glass of kind of brownish water. I mean, generally, maybe the beer is better because at least you're not seeing the water.
Yeah,
I
I'll stick
will
with some
use
ale.
the water to wash off my hands, and then I will order a beer.
Well, at least the beer seems to be relatively clean. It's certainly not the best stuff in the world. It is fairly flat, but it does work. So I guess that's the nature of it. Are you going to? You definitely don't hear anyone talk about the official representative, Maximilian, of Earl, apparently, is what you did learn on the way in here. Maximilian of Earl. You did hear maybe at one point someone say early and then laugh, but that who knows what that was about.
Instead of late.
Did our waiter have a name?
I didn't ask it, actually. It doesn't really matter who they are, does it? Unless you feel it does matter.
Well, I want to engage him in a little bit more conversation, perhaps.
He is clearly nervous about being among such as yourself.
Goodman, you should come and sit down here beside me.
I would be happy to.
I'm very curious because we're new here. And I'm wondering, this place is fascinating and foreign to us. What kind of things do you do to pass the time?
Oh, good grief.
To pass the time, there's no time for pleasantries here. We work, we eat, we engage in trade, and we sustain ourselves without any
gambling or forms of risks.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. No, absolutely, no.
No winnings that anyone might take home a large sum.
I mean, there may be a little coin that changes hands when people are engaging in fair trade, of course. But all of that money goes to sustain the necessary village. I mean, you can see we clearly don't have a lot of luck in this season, and so it just didn't make a lot. I mean, we were using it to fix things and do. I'm sure, yes,
So this
And,
is
and with
what.
whom do you trade?
Really?
I mean, the people who live around. There are people who grow our grow our crops, and people who do mining, and people who. I don't know. Maybe did you guys have you heard of the dry beast? As a matter of fact, I there's a lot of dry
they're
beasts.
Delicious. They're quite tasty.
We send quite a bit of that, I believe. Inland, free of charge.
Interesting. You've sent shipments of the dry beast inland.
Well, yeah, free of charge, of course.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the way things are. So you have mining. What are you mining exactly? Is it the gunpowder? What do you mine around here?
Oh, various things, salts, and things that grow. No, I mean things that like are rocks and things like that.
Oh, rocks. Oh, rocks are wonderful for mining.
So how long has it been, sir, that you've been having trouble with your crops?
Oh, it's been about 2 seasons now, I'm sorry to say. Strangely, he doesn't seem to be particularly gaunt or starving.
Does anyone else in the tavern?
Yeah, most other people actually do. There's a couple of patrons who seem to, maybe they spend a lot of time at the tavern, and they also don't seem to be starving.
So for work, I mean, you mentioned mining, and there's some people who trade. Is that pretty much the gamut of the kind of professions you have around here?
Well, I mean, I assume that there's all sorts of different things people do. There's we have priests, lots of priests, of course, for the queen's, to worship the queen and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
It's good to hear. Where would we find members of your council?
I don't actually know. They meet every couple of days in the town square. You want to meet with a council? Why would you want to meet with the council?
Oh, because there is a missing person, and we need to discuss the matter with them. If they've
Missing?
seen him or
Oh,
not. Yeah.
this I can help with, he says very loudly, and he looks around the tavern and says, "Hey, folks, these fine hunters are missing. After someone who's missing. So why don't you tell these fine folks what it is you're looking for?" And he attempts to scurry away.
Good sir, please don't leave.
He stops with his
We insist.
halfway over the bar, and he was on his way to. I'm just on the back room to get you something to drink, so that because when you'll be speaking to everybody here, and he grabs a mug and heads out the door.
I look around the tavern and I try to see who's like the most nervous and most inebriated.
Well, you see a lot of actually make a. Let me see what kind of check would be best.
Perception?
How about? Yes, perception.
In the tower or out?
Out. That's fine. We'll
And
try
you
one
said
of
that
each.
guy went in the back room.
Yes.
Can I attempt to stealth and like watch him somehow?
Yeah, tell me how basically you would have gotten yourself during this conversation into a position to be stealthy.
Well, why they were talking to him, I was just kind of slowly backing towards like the back room door, maybe kind of sitting at a close table, or hoping there would be like some kind of like shadows or where, a little bit darker where the lights didn't hit.
Yeah, there was a fairly large group of you. Besides, the 6 of you, there was a couple of people who were just kind of refreshing before the captain of the guard and all them, the general of the guard, rather, head out of town. So, you came in as a pretty powerful group that clearly was someone that they clearly knew who you were, although they definitely were surprised to see you. So you know that much. And you also see, especially because Tabiana and Lucrezia, you're both seeing it quite a bit that they look not starving, but a lot of the other people around town seem to be, especially those who aren't, belly up to the bar, as a matter of fact.
The town guard looks okay?
Yeah, they're actually, you don't see a town guard person in the tavern right now. You just see a bunch of starving people drinking at tables, and then actually, you know what? A bunch of people who aren't starving all sitting at the bar.
So the people at the bar are not starving, and the people at the tables and in the town are?
Sure looks like it.
Excuse me, sir, I would like you to tell me, because I'm sure this would interest the Queen. I can't help but notice, since I am trained as a healer, that you and the other people at the bar look quite a bit healthier than the other townsfolk. Could you explain why this would be?
Why would you want to know?
The Queen is interested in the health of all of her subjects, and it is our duty to report these things back to her. And if it's something that we might use to help keep everyone in the Queen's domain healthy, then we should absolutely have that information.
Well, we make a lot of the important decisions around town here, and it just makes a lot of sense for us to, make sure we're in peak physical health, as it were. Now, who in the bloody heck are you?
I am one of the Queen's hunters and a healer. And it does concern me that most of your townsfolk do not seem to be in very good health.
Well, it has been kind of a rough couple of years.
And yet you appear perfectly healthy. As do the other people sitting at the bar. I would like an explanation for this if we were to encounter any, and not that I foresee anything like this happening, but it never hurts to be prepared. If we were to experience any kind of famine or ill health, I would certainly like to know how you maintained your health in such a time.
Well, you see, he pats the napkin on his mouth and sets it down. As a matter of fact, particularly Harker, you recognize a whole bunch of people getting up and leaving the restaurant, the tavern here. It's like, I should have just shared the inside of the tavern here. You are towards the left, that's the bar, and you can see the bar stools where there are people.
Are the skinny people getting up to leave, or the well-fed people?
No, the well-fed people are all at the bar. Their backs are still to you largely, but you do, see them.
So the skinny people are getting up to leave.
Yes.
The starving people.
I suspect food hoarders.
I am going to whisper to my party mates that I suspect. Oh my God! Is that Mr. T? Oh.
Cool, you see him. Okay, that answers my question if you see him.
And Wolverine.
I am going to whisper to my party mates that I suspect that there's somehow some of these villagers are extorting food or withholding food from the others.
Yes, I believe that as well.
I'm not sure that their lack of food is as dire as they proclaim, since they appear to be so healthy.
Well, if these are the council members, then they've put themselves in charge at the expense of the rest of the town.
He did say that these are the ones who make the decisions and things like that. So I'm wondering if these actually are the council and they are meeting, and for some reason they just don't want to tell us.
Well, what they do with food doesn't really matter as long as we actually get the share that is owed to the queen.
You guys can adjust your location as you want, but there's perhaps a starting place for you. And then, like I said, Harker, because you've kind of got in and just sort of leaned toward the back corner there, you can make a stealth check in the tower.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Okay. So what do you do?
All right, so I am just going to kind of, let's see. Is this what you're calling the back, or is like the back this side?
Yeah, you are towards really the back, the furthest section from the bar, although straight onto it. You can see the door kind of to the southeast. There is the door outside, and it kind of goes off on either end there, and the bar is back there. And there is back by the cast, there's a door that presumably heads down into some kind of sub-basement where they presumably store their food and water and whatever else, maybe?
Okay. Yeah, I'll just like kind of make my way towards that door and just kind of keep an eye on it.
You do see that one of the townsfolk, is that guy moving? Does seem to be looking at you. All right.
Is he doing anything, or is he just watching?
Just looking, just watching.
Okay. I kind of give him a little, just like look, just to acknowledge that I know he's watching me.
I'm going to take a coin out of my purse, the highest denomination I have, and just start kind of flipping it and rolling it around on my knuckles, kind of in a distracted way.
Well, at the sight of
people
coin,
like money.
Yeah, at the sight of coin, all three of the folks at the bar, in addition to the bar tender there, get quiet and all look at you as if waiting for you to speak.
I'm just gonna keep playing with my money.
Well, the bartender says, "Out with it then. What are you here for?"
Hey, Jerry.
Yes.
What are the laws that would be relative to the situation?
Well, according to the Queen's rule, you are in charge. These folks may or may not know who you are. They clearly are the far edge of the Queen's rule, and presumably they're not starving. So they might well be people who are, if not higher up, at least people who are taking care of business, as it were.
Okay. Other than that, it's Keva Impator.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you're in charge. You determine what the law is.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
Now, I did already tell them when I was talking to the guy that we are the Queen's Hunters, but he might not know what that is.
That one guy sure seemed to know.
Was that Mr. T or Wolverine or?
No, that was
No, I think that was Johan.
that was the Johan, the bartender
Okay.
person. Yeah. Are you seeing the people on the board?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
They have the round frames and we have the square ones, right?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, they don't seem to be, or us for that matter, scaled to the map. So as you zoom in, they're really big, or zoom out, they get really big. And
Okay. So it gets very quiet, and you can kind of hear a pin drop. And if there was any other kind of people who were just kind of there for a social occasion or what have you, they have long since fled. It
Okay.
is now extremely quiet.
I think what I'm going to choose to do is I'm going to look over at Lucrezia, and I'm also going to stand up to my full height.
I nod at you.
Okay.
They definitely are like, oh God.
I will then look at them and play hanging scenes across my mask.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, since I have disguise self at will,
Okay.
which is what I use to look actually shorter than I am,
Okay.
I will, as I grow taller, I will start displaying in the reflections of my mask these individuals hanging from nooses.
They pull out knives, and
Excellent.
you can roll for
Lantana-
initiative. They are not charging at you, but you can roll for initiative.
When he starts doing that,
All of them?
Lantana slips up and the coin falls to the floor when she sees the hanging scenes.
Oh, actually, you don't want. Hang on that. Let me actually call up the encounter first. Okay. So let me make sure I add these people to the combat tracker.
And that's also pretty much how I'm going to do intimidation often, I think, too. I don't think I could roll a more lawful neutral roll
Why am I not seeing it?
for initiative.
Are we doing initiative?
Well, yeah. Hang on a second. I'm trying to figure out how to add these people to the combat tracker. Oh, here we go. Dwarf. Do you see, by any chance, their hit points?
No.
I don't see them in the combat trackers.
You
Yeah,
don't
Yeah,
see them in
they're
the
not
combat
on
tracker at
tracker,
all?
no.
Okay,
Nope.
cool. So just so you know that they just sort of show up in the combat tracker. They're pinkish on my end, which probably means that they're not visible.
Or that their little eye isn't.
Yeah.
It may actually mean they're hostile, depending on where the pinkish, like, is it?
Oh, now they show up. Berserker 1, 2, 3. But we don't see any information on
Yeah,
them.
I have to roll their initiative as
order,
a
but not
perfect.
hit points. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see here. Remind me how to roll for initiative. Ah, there we go. How do I roll their initiative? Do you know how they roll initiative for the monsters?
On the menu, there should be a menu, and then it will say like initiative, and you click on the initiative, and then it'll give you options on how you want to do initiative. If you want to roll all your monsters or everybody or what.
You say in initiative?
Yeah.
Isn't it in the combat tracker somewhere?
Yeah, in the combat tracker, there's like in the lower left-hand corner area, there's a menu. Click on menu.
Oh, there we go. Okay. And oh, there we go. Great. Okay.
Did I hear the sound of my turn dawning?
Sorry.
Maybe.
It dinged. That's you.
What interesting things can we do here?
I mean, it looks like from my perspective, it looks like all of them had an initiative of 20, so they're basically all going second.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit surprised that we've immediately descended into hostilities. That doesn't seem really
the initiative
civil.
isn't 100% right, but I'm not quite sure how to. I'm having a little difficulty doing the because I hit menu and then I hit initiative, and then where do I drag it or do I just click on it?
Just click on it. It's like roll for adversaries or whatever initiative.
So it looks like you did it again, and now they got an initiative of 15.
So they're all the same.
20, and then they have an initiative of 21.
It'll just replace it.
Okay. And there's an option somewhere
that's fine.
For whether it's individual or.
All right, let me set that. For now, they'll just move as one. Sounds good.
Okay, so if you wanted to put them back to what they originally had at 20,
nope, that's fine. They could be at 15. Okay. They're clearly a little intimidated.
I mean, I really thought we were going to get to talk more. Maybe
you haven't actually
even.
You haven't tried killing them yet.
They just pulled out their knives.
I'm going to.
Talking's never the answer.
So who's up first?
I'm up first.
Lintana.
I'm gonna be like, guys.
Or tax assassin. Yep.
Guys.
I got to admit, when I first heard tax assassin, I thought maybe she murdered our taxes so we didn't have to pay them.
That is the opposite of what I do.
He just scandalized her.
Yeah, what happens?
I forgot what I was going to say.
I really like what Slippery Bee says in chat. In the heavy silence, the coin rolls to a stop on the floor. Is that what happens to your coin?
My coin rolled to a stop on the it rolled to a stop on the floor.
Is it heads or tails?
It's heads.
Oh, it's heads. They look at the coin and they look up.
And of course, the head side is like a profile of the queen.
Like, if you leave now, we'll let you live. I don't know what brings you here, the one in the middle says, but you're not wanted.
We are the queen.
Well,
I think you misunderstand that it doesn't matter if we are wanted. We're here. And that is undeniable and irresistible. So you might as well talk and tell us what we want to know and cooperate, because, violence is not going to go well in your favor.
The one at the top, back by the table says, all right, so what the hell do you want to know?
We're simply looking around your town. We want to know how you work. We want to know how things are going here. And we're also looking for a couple simple objects. Now, if you want to be helpful and give us what we want and help us with what we're looking for, I don't see why we can't be friends. But you do need to cooperate with us. And you do need to answer our questions.
The bartender is like, okay, what do you want? What do you want? Tell us what we can tell you.
Who are the members of the council?
Well, I'm one, the half-orc in the center says. And what is it of yours? Why are you trying to take over our town?
Oh, we're not trying to take over your town. We're wondering where the official representative of the Queen is and what happened to his daughter.
The official what? What was his name?
Maximilian.
Of Earl.
You clearly see all three of them give each other a look. Oh, I haven't seen him in a long time.
But you
Stop
have
your
seen
lies.
Let's see. Doop. Here we go.
I mean, I'm assuming they're obviously lying, or do I make?
Well, they at least
check or-
know that name for somehow. And yes, Maximilian, you definitely, and you've been a judge for quite some time. These people are clearly hiding information.
What I think is interesting is you act like we're here to take over your town. And you kind of act like you don't really know who the Queen is. But what you fail to recognize is that the Queen already owns your town. We're just here to make sure that her interests are taken care of. Can you work with us about it and make sure that that happens?
See if I can adjust that.
So, if you haven't seen Maximilian in some time, where's the last place you did see him?
And when?
I think he lives in a like a little hovel outside of town here. But we don't know anything about as far as I know, he came to town and then deserted. Yeah, that's right. The one on the top says, yeah, he just deserted the whole town. I mean, he put us in charge. I mean, there was no one else to do it except for the three of us. And the bartender says, no, I'm not one of you.
I believe the bartender is a bit wiser than the rest of you. You've been given an opportunity to submit and tell the truth.
I give the bartender a wink.
The bartender starts to make their way back to the basement.
That's cool.
You're going to let the bartender go into the basement? Okay.
I don't like the sound of that. Supposing he's going for reinforcements or weapons.
Or just escaping?
I'm going to assume he's going to cower and hide right now. I'm more concerned about these liars who are standing in front of us, acting like we're idiots.
So why are you talking to him? Why aren't we killing him?
Or, at least hitting him.
I thought maybe talking to them might be more productive since we don't actually know where anything is. And they expect us to believe that our quarry was living in a hovel when he's the representative of the Queen.
Lantana, make a dexterity check. Natural 20. Boom.
Nice.
And even almost as if it was before the other person even had their thought out of their head. You were dodging a sharp pointed knife from the berserker with the little side ponytail there, who tried to gut you where you stood.
Wait, was that Wolverine?
Yeah. Wolverine.
Yeah, sure.
Padawan Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'm totally Team Cyclops.
Padawan Wolverine is yes. As a matter of fact, that's his name, which is kind of funny. It's you never I mean, you learned this all afterwards, of course, but
Of course.
Now, okay, so is that going out of initiative order? Does that mean that I don't have any kind of reaction, or?
Well, your reaction was you have a 20, and now it is your turn.
Okay, well, I'm going to stab him in the face.
Okay.
Cut off his ponytail.
I have a rapier, and I'm not afraid to use it, especially when somebody tries to act so rudely. I'm trying to have a conversation and gather information here.
All right, so roll whatever you're gonna do. Roll for attack or damage or whatever it is you're gonna do.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm having problems rolling on him.
Oh.
I think it's because our icons are so big.
Yeah, the icons aren't snapped to the grid at all. They're a lot bigger.
Depending
Also,
on your
I
zoom.
can move the bad guys.
Oh, you're right. Okay, it was only because I was all zoomed out here that I didn't see that, or zoomed in that I didn't actually see that.
So I can just roll in
Yeah.
the chat box, but it won't assign the damage or won't assign anything automatically. I don't think.
I think there's a way that you can lock the scale to the map. But
Yeah,
I'm
let me
not sure how to
actually
do
take
that.
care of that. Yeah, map layers set grid.
This is a shame because my roll was awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, it's my action.
Actually, that's still not right though.
Somebody just ran off. There we go.
He was sneaking.
Run away!
All right. I mean, I see it there, but I think I'm going to have to re-add you to the map.
Okay.
So that you'll be visible.
No Grimrod. No, we do not. Gimgrod, rather.
Nope, that's true. We definitely do not
Ever
get enough
heard
of
of
D&D.
No.
I mean, hell,
Not
I get so
possible.
much I work there. Yeah. There we go. That looks much better to me. Does it to you guys as
yeah.
well? Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Is that where I was?
You were
Or was
right
I
there.
one higher?
You were over the stool.
Yeah, I'm just dropping people on the map to make it easy.
Yeah, you were one over. That's where I was. You were on the stool right behind you. Just go one back. One down. Other way.
Down as in south.
There you go. Yep. You were there and I was right below you. As soon as he pops me on the map.
Maximilian was right below
There we
me.
go. Yep.
It was catty corner to me, so he was basically directly to the west, and then you were basically right underneath me. And then Even was kind of standing at the doorway.
Yep.
I'm rolling on Wolverine's face.
Ooh. All right. So you definitely, hit and you can roll for damage.
I want to stab him in the between the ribs.
You get him a good stab between the ribs for sure. Let me make sure it showed up on Combat Tracker.
Bless you.
Sorry, that didn't go out over Discord because I was able to get that in time, but let's see. I'm just trying to see where. Yeah, that one didn't take damage. Did you put the dice on the token?
I did the dice to him. It said 9 to Berserker.
Oh, you're right.
4.
Okay, it is. It's just at a slightly different place than what I expected. Okay, cool. All right,
And
so
then I am going to disengage as my bonus action.
okay, sounds good.
Then that should end my turn.
All right, so Corky, it is your turn.
Are you going to move as part of your disengagement, or just...
Oh yeah, I forgot that part.
Move back like 5 feet.
I'm just going to move back 5 feet
Yeah.
to stand beside.
All right, Corky,
All right.
what are you gonna do?
Well, I'm gonna attack this guy up here, but I'm going to attack to what do you call it? Not kill, but disable,
Subdue.
basically knock them out, and so we have, we don't actually kill everybody.
Okay.
And I'm going to take a 2-handed quarterstaff attack.
Yeah, we need somebody to question at least. Since they're more amenable.
You hit.
I do like that in this edition it's actually pretty easy to not kill somebody. Just like not trying to kill them, and that's it.
Nice. A pretty significant amount of damage there, too.
And then as a bonus action, do an unarmed strike.
Yep, unfortunately. It was a whiff. All right, next up.
Does Comic need to end his turn? There we go.
Okay. I'll move forward to this dude. And stab an 8. And whiff. Like, badly. I totally rolled a 1.
Well, what happened is it actually completely missed him, but it slammed into the tabletop with a huge bang, getting their attention.
We're here for the queen!
Yes.
Sit down and shut up!
All right.
Alright.
Anything else? Tabiana?
If I want to cast, where is it? Burning Hands. That is a 15-foot cone. So if I move up here and aim it, I don't know how to make the little arrows go like Evil Beaker does.
I don't think... Did I let you do Burning Hands? I didn't think I did.
Oh, well, it is on here.
Okay, so did we do something different with it where we were saying it would be like...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can use something else if you want.
I remember you saying you could accept it as something, but I don't remember what
so
the
it'd be
something
like
was.
your hands would just glow hot, is how it would be, rather than like you wouldn't shoot a fireball out of your hands kind of a thing.
Okay, so I could just like touch this guy and...
Yes.
Okay. But I am going to cast Burning Hands at this guy. Okay, I dragged it onto him and it didn't work. What's going on here? I'm dragging the little dragon to him. Oh, I have to...
Not the
the
dragon,
dice.
the dice.
The dice, yeah.
Right.
Or the
So-
attack button, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
there might.
Nope, that's wrong, isn't it? Attack.
No, that was a saving throw, yeah. Oh, no, that was a saving throw, right, because it casts it, and then it's not an attack. It's just a thing that happens.
Okay, because it's not letting me drag attack over there.
Yeah, so that person actually missed their saving throw, and is like, ah!
Oh, okay, so now I can drag the damage on
Yeah,
him?
you've grabbed his
Yeah.
arm, and his arm is starting to smoke.
I bet she left a mark.
Yup.
That's gonna hurt.
I'm helping!
Which one did you drag that to?
Oh, that is Berserker 4.
Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
Wolverine!
Okay.
Oh, wait, wrong movie.
All right, there we go. Anything else?
And then I'm just going to move back. He doesn't
Okay.
get an attack of opportunity.
He does if you move back, yeah.
Okay, I will stay where I am and cross my fingers a lot.
Okay. So now it is their turn. So first off, the bartender person is not currently here. Let me get rid of that. All right. So this one in the corner lunges forward with a dagger on Lucrezia Stormfoot. Let's see. Trying to figure out how
By the way, I don't... Oh, never mind.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I didn't see Comics token for a sec.
It's going to try to stab Lucrezia Stormfoot and whoosh, goes wide again as you twist, and the dagger completely misses. Next up, the half-orc, who's got his arm burned, tries to take a lunge at Tabiana.
Is it the half orc or Berserker number 4? That's Wolverine, not Mr. T.
Yeah, I thought you were Burning Hands Mr. T.
No, I was Burning Hands Wolverine.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry then. The half-orc actually lunges also at Lucrezia then. Whoosh, and also misses. They're clearly been doing a little bit of drinking here tonight. Berserker number 4, who had tried to take out the absolute, tax assassin herself, attacks with a duller knife on Tabiana. And again, swings wide and a miss. Finally,
The guilty are prone to failure.
Finally, Berserker 6 simply scrambles and makes a mad dash to the door, passing by Corky Rylander in the process.
Get in! Get in!
Well, I get an attack of opportunity.
That is correct.
And that's just a standard attack?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, or does it have advantage?
No, just a standard attack.
Alright, try to bop him with my quarterstaff again.
Okay, mental image, I have, like, comic raising the quarterstaff over his hands, like, bonking the guy over the head.
Which is exactly what happens. Roll for damage.
We're getting advice on the stream on how to roll.
You can control-click on the icons on the way they want to target, and then make rolls against them directly. It's like the targeting thing there.
It also works for casting spells on multiple targets at once.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what you were telling me about.
Yep.
Neat. Me? I didn't hear it, Dan. What happened? Whose
Let's
turn
see.
is
Oh,
it?
actually, it still might be my guys' turn. Yeah, because I've got the dwarf here, who is going to also try to do a side stab against Lantana. I'm just trying to figure out how to target not friendlies. Clear targets. Target friendly units. Oh, target enemy units. So there we go. There we go.
We're still indicating that it's Evan's turn.
Oh, okay. So
My turn is
Details.
yeah, so hit the end turn button.
Where is the end turn button?
It's the little dragony thing on the left.
Bottom left of combat tracker.
Bottom left should say turn complete.
Yep. There we go. That one already attacked.
Yeah, I think we're down to
Already
Berserker
attacked.
5, aren't we?
Yep, Berserker 5. There we go. And Berserker 5 is going to do a lunge against Lantana. I'm trying to figure out how to target. Let's see. There we go. All right. So, Berserker 5 is going to try to stab you yet again. You are just having to dodge them left and right. And that is a hit. You feel a pain on your side.
I hiss.
Do not too much damage. About 5
still
damage.
gonna pay for
It's certainly enough to make you bleed.
I'm furious.
And number 6 was the one who ran for the door and got an attack of opportunity and missed. Or no, you hit, actually. Right?
Yeah. Gave him 6 points of damage.
All right, so you stopped him in his tracks.
6 points or 9 points?
Ooh.
Maximilian, it is your turn.
Oh, you're right. It was 9 points.
So the blunderbuss, what's the minuses for that into melee? How does that work?
It's not really a good melee weapon. It'll be disadvantaged.
No, but there's a penalty for using a ranged weapon in short range melee combat. I want to say is it just disadvantage or is it minus?
I would assume on 5th edition it's probably just disadvantage. We'll call it disadvantage. Yep.
Let's see.
Because you're having to try to aim real close like that. It's a good blast though, so it might be worth a shot. But
Yeah, if
You're
I'd
not
got
actually
the
firing,
initiative,
you're just
that
like
was
about the guy
a
with
plan.
it.
But I figured I might as well ask. do this.
Ooh. Whoosh. What did you try to attack with?
A war pick.
Okay, you slash the pick and the guy ducks back just in time to avoid it. And you had moved up, so that should be your turn, although I think you may have a little movement left if you want. But
I do, but I don't have anything I'm going to do with it, and I don't have any quick actions or whatnot.
okay. So then, Harker, it is now your turn.
I'm going to move up here and stab that guy with my short sword.
It's almost as if the guy didn't recognize that you were there. You get an advantage.
Oh, that's right, because he's flanked.
Okay, yeah, range attack and close combat, just disadvantage.
Okay.
And you hit. What'd you hit him with?
Short sword. Stabbed him right in his kidney.
Absolutely. Roll for damage.
Miss
Stab till
Queen.
it's fab.
Ah! He's taken yet more damage.
Not the greatest damage in the world, but I
Yeah.
damaged him.
All right. So,
Hey, that ain't bad.
if I am not mistaken, we are now on round 2. But whatever. Round 1 counts too. All right, Maximilian, it's yours.
Fantabulous. All right. So,
Did our order change?
Yep, I have initiative going with the top of. Oh yes, I have initiative going, being re-rolled at the top of every turn.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
It automatically rerolls.
yep. And the reason for that is to keep people on their feet, keep it random, and add to the chaos of combat.
I
Sure,
have
sure,
never
sure.
done that way. That is cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's how we always did it when we were playing. So it's a cool way to do it.
Yep. All right, so Maximilian, it is your turn though. You follow up that pick with a hit
better.
slice across part of his neck. How deep does it cut? 9. A serious cut to the neck.
yeah, nothing like a big hole in you.
Yeah.
War pick's no joke.
All right. So, are you going to do anything else?
Nope. That's it.
All right, Tabiana.
Oh, I am going to be mighty. I am going to take my quarterstaff and I am going to aim it at Wolverine again. Whoa. That's not what I meant to do.
It's because you have the party targeted.
Yeah.
Ow!
That is probably more damage than I will ever do. How do I untarget the party? I don't see.
There's a clear target. It's like a circle with a red line through it.
Okay. Let's try that again. I'm not even sure how I had that targeted. I'm going to take my quarterstaff.
I usually just roll the die on the token. It makes it easy.
And roll it here on Wolverine.
A miss.
Oh,
Actually, you do hit, but he's got his arm up and just blocks it.
I'm
And-
going to sigh and...
You haven't moved, so you could do a disengage if you wanted to.
Yeah, but then he gets an attack of
No,
opportunity.
not if you
right?
disengage.
Oh, do I disengage? I just move backwards? Or
Yep, move 5 feet in any direction.
I will disengage.
All right.
But now he's not flanked.
Berserker 6 is going to scramble up and once again make his way to the door, giving Corky another attack of opportunity.
Go, Corky. Go, Corky.
Knock him out.
Alrighty.
It's your birthday.
Boom, and a smack
Oh, yeah.
right across the small of the back there.
Well, I'm laying the smack down on him.
That's a pretty good smackdown.
Kabam! And he goes down flat,
Yes.
out cold.
So Okay. So but he's not dead, but he's out. He's unconscious.
He's unconscious. Yes.
Excellent.
All right. Who do we have next?
It's should be me next, Lucrezia.
And you've got the whole party targeted too.
Turn, or was that his
No,
attack
actually-
of opportunity?
That was an attack of opportunity.
So he still gets
Oh,
his turn,
that's
which
right.
is next.
How do I undo that?
All right. So looks like my round. So I'm going to move down here, and I'm going to attack Berserker number 5 there.
On the map, click the clear targets button. It's up in the upper right hand corner. It's got a
Yeah, don't fire at us all like I did.
And which one did you? Oh, you attacked the Berserker 5. Okay.
Yeah, was that Gimli down there?
Yep. Mad Max
Right, and then
Gimli.
Yeah, that's right. And then as a bonus action, do an unarmed strike.
There we go.
Follow through and kabam, bam.
Grotek's going down soon.
All right. Yep. You took another big fat hit, but he's still standing. He's clearly a tough guy. And it is now Lucrezia's turn.
All right, let's try this again. Berserker 3. Huh?
There you go.
A hit. All right. I am going to smite. I know it's not a 20, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
Kabam! The person is also knocked out.
Haha, take that.
Not dead, just took a huge force blast and is basically laid back with his head across the bar. He actually smashed into his drink.
Fabulous. Boom.
Harker.
All right, gonna stab him in his kidney yet again.
Ooh, natural 20.
Oh,
Yes.
Excellent.
I believe you are, in fact, going to stab him in his kidney.
I believe I'm going to disembowel him from his kidney.
Mm.
Not with that roll, but
Yeah, very nice. Nonetheless, he lets out a scream. And then let me actually say to Twitch chat here, actually, because someone brought up some rules type stuff. I play fast and loose with the rules. I take the addition and largely follow it, but at the same time, I don't believe in looking up rules and that while we're going. Ultimately, if it comes down to it, roll the dice. If it's high enough, you do something. And that's really the core of what it falls down to if you don't have all the rules in front of you.
Rules are guidelines.
Yep.
The DM's word is law.
Exactly. It's also in service of the story and the combat and the flow and all that sort of thing. So
DM's the queen.
don't worry too much about that stuff. No, I appreciate that you're actually just talking though. Hook, that's actually cool. I love hearing D&D talk. I'm just saying, I hadn't yet given notice that, as a matter of fact, I will be breaking the rules. That's how that works. And he is screaming, and you, with the blade basically sitting out, it's not his back, it's more his middle between back and right side, and he is seriously hurt. So, Lantana. Unless you were going to do something else, Harker?
no, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Lantana, it is your turn.
Okay, I'm gonna snarl at Berserker number 5.
I want to hear you snarl.
Well played.
It's like roar, roar.
Ouch.
Hey, nice.
He better go down. I want to see him cry. He drew my blood. He deserves to pay.
Is it wrong that I really like that little growl?
You did indeed stab him pretty significantly, and now that he's been attacked on both sides, he's got a panic in his eyes.
As well he should.
All right, the person is still
As my
in the basement.
bonus action, I'm gonna hide. I don't know if I can take. I can hide as a bonus action, so I'm gonna hide.
Wow.
I'm not
okay.
gonna move.
Okay. I mean, you just stabbed someone, so it seems like it would be kind of hard to hide. But at the same time, I guess if you've got the ability to just
apparently it's the skill.
it's not
it's
so
a thing.
it's not so much that you turn invisible or whatever, but you have inflicted enough damage that all focus is on the wound and not on the location of the person next to him.
And I'm standing still, but I'm slippery.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for.
All right.
Well, you're a tax collector. Of course you're slippery.
Of course I am.
All right. So we have got... Let me get my guys here. Actually, Berserker 3 is out as well. There we go. Berserker 5 is clearly freaking out, but is going to try to attack Corky. And had an automatic 1. The blade cuts into his side, and he's focusing, flailing around, and he flails around with his knife, but it just misses wide. And he's clearly just panicked at this point. 2 is still feeling like he can trade blows with Maximilian. So he is indeed going to try to stab you. And misses. His knife falls out of his hand as you quickly hit his wrist at just the right moment. And Berserker number 4 is going to try to scramble on his hands and knees. He falls to the ground and starts scrambling toward the door on his hands and knees. So I'm going to stop here.
Anybody an attack of...
I'm going to stop there first. Harker, do you wish an attack of opportunity, or are you going to let this person scramble out the door?
I am going to try to stab him again. Oh, actually, let's see. Because he's running away from me, so I can try to stab him.
Yep.
So I am most certainly going to do that. And I hit him.
Okay. He is not a happy person whatsoever. But then he was already scrambling at his wit's end. You know,
he was already unhappy.
Yeah, it's more damage. All right. So next step here then is going to be here. And he passes by Berserker 5. He looks over to him and just yells out, I'm sorry. Passes here. What do you think, Lantana?
Does that mean I can attack of opportunity?
Yep, if you want.
And
Against
probably
4?
sneak attack.
Yeah, because you're flanking him.
Yeah. Are you going to do it?
I am going to do it.
All right, roll the dice.
Let me switch my target,
Yeah.
Okay, what are the qualifications for attack of opportunity? Because does
Once you leave the attack space.
Because he was right in front of Tabiana.
That's true, but he has not left your combat zone yet.
So if he...
Yeah, so as soon as if he moves into a square outside, you would get one as well. Yeah.
And
he's
okay, so he is taking one last step and is now outside of the range of both Tabiana and Corky.
I didn't roll my damage. Did that 9 damage do anything to him?
It's hurt him some more. He's scrambling.
Do I roll my sneak attack damage separately?
Oh, that's a good point. I'm surprised it didn't include that automatically, but yes. It's what, 2d6? Something like that?
Yeah, that's one of the things, like with the smite and the sneak attack, we had to make separate buttons as if it was its own weapon.
I don't have a weapon bonus for that. Can I just roll a d6 and then apply it?
Yeah, that sounds fine. Is it d6 or is it more than that?
It's a d6.
Okay, sure.
At least how I have it set up now.
Ooh,
nice.
Does 6 work? Is 6 work for you?
Yeah. All right, now it's Tabiana and Corky's turn. You've cut him deeply in the leg. He's barely able to scramble out.
Okay, so I had an attack of opportunity against the
Yep.
other guy, so I don't think I get one because I only get one per turn. Correct?
I'm going to let you attack.
yes.
Which one of us goes first, or do we both?
I'll let Even go first.
Okay, I am going to take my mighty quarterstaff. Let me clear targets again, just in case. I think I'm clicking him. I think I've got him targeted. I am going to raise my quarterstaff and bring it smashing down on his head. And I am going to totally miss. Unless he's got like the worst armor class ever.
All right, and then finally Corky.
All right, I'll take a quarterstaff, smack at him.
Kaboom and boom. He is down flat. He is still barely alive, but he is not moving.
He is impressively thick.
At this point, Berserker 2 just backs up and says, "Spare me! Spare me!"
Very well. Will you answer our questions if we do?
Anything. Anything.
Maximilian.
Well, we still have Berserker 5.
Berserker 5.
Yep.
Is he begging yet?
Nope. He's too much in, like, kind of in the flow of it. Like, he's in pain. He's been stabbed all around. He's flailing around trying to live.
All right, I'm going to attack him with my rapier. I'm going to go for the kidneys since Harker makes that look fun. And I'll do a sneak attack too. Oops.
Ooh.
Nice.
I think it rolled for 4 as well. I guess it didn't automatically remove the targeting of him.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
You'd have advantage anyway. So.
Yep.
And then for the sneak attack. Oh!
Grimgroth said, "Is everyone a monk?" No, we're not all monks.
So 11 total.
That'd be kind of awesome, though.
11 total. Yeah, so I'm trying to see. It didn't seem like it added that, unfortunately, too.
I did, and I could have rolled that one on him, I guess. Maybe it's the sneak attack part. So it was 5 applied to him.
Yeah.
From the rapier attack. Or I guess it was 6 from the rapier attack. I'm sorry. And then 6 more from the sneak attack.
All right. Yeah, he's very, very gravely wounded. But he's not yet dead.
Okay.
And Corky, you would actually be next in line. Because Berserker 4 has given up.
Alrighty.
Actually, Berserker 4 went down.
Berserker 2.
Berserker 2.
Alright, I'll tackle my quarterstaff.
All right, he sits there and moans. No more, no more. Are you going to put him out of his misery, or are you going to keep him alive?
No, I'll stay my bonus action.
All right, so now we are basically out of combat.
Convenient. Shackles it is.
If they're all unconscious, I say we tie them up and start cutting off pieces until they give us what we want.
Yeah, we should tie him up and stabilize him so we can.
See, Berserker 2 will be fitted for his shackles. They will be placed upon him.
Okay. He is now shackled. I don't think I can put an effect, but it doesn't really matter. So.
Right.
Yeah. I probably could,
Though
actually.
I would suggest that we go ahead and dispatch the ones that actually drew our blood, and save the ones who didn't actually, successfully harm us. And preserve them to give us the information.
Well, that could be up to the judge there, couldn't it?
I'm presenting that to the
separately.
judge for his wise counsel.
Okay. We will. First, let's make sure everyone's accounted for. There's people down. There's the person who went downstairs.
Oh, that's true. We should make sure.
Meantime, I'll drag the bodies all into a pile over here.
So I will go and look into the cellar.
It's definitely dark, and it goes down. You would have to go down there to see. You're not hearing any movement, but if someone was hiding, you clearly wouldn't be.
Conveniently, the dark is something that doesn't bother me at all. Because I can see through it.
Oh, okay.
I do not have dark vision. I've got dark vision plus.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you just see you see a stairs going down into an open storage area, and everything is still.
If you've submitted,
Come on
if you submit to the law, it will be kind to you.
I will do as you say. And the
Wise choice.
bartender person comes up and is willing to be
Okay.
handcuffed.
He doesn't have to be handcuffed.
Okay. What can I do? I'm at your mercy.
It is so. Have a seat.
Okay, the person sits down.
Where I asked the bartender, where do these other gentlemen live?
What just around town. We were all part of the makeshift council. I mean, we
Yes, no, but
were the
specifically,
people in
where are
charge
their
of-
houses?
Oh, well, I could draw you a map.
Yes, please.
All right, so the person takes out like a bar washcloth and like a dark charcoal marker and draws some basic squares of the town and put some X's where the townspeople were. Is that all? Is that all? Can I go?
No. Answer us. Why are you councilmen so well fed and the rest of your town is starving?
We are the best hunters, and the best hunters always get the most meat.
And you don't share.
I guess not. We will. I will. I promise. If you let me live.
Well, think about it.
All right. Are you going to ask anything else?
Where are your children? Not yours personally, the town's children.
They're at home as they should be.
Are they starving as well while you're well fed and fat?
No, of course not. We share meat to keep those that we can as best we can alive.
You just leave their parents to starve.
These are tough times.
Why?
What?
Because you're eating all the food?
They're not that fat. They're just not starving to death. Yeah. Is there any other location that you need to know about?
We've heard tales that there is a particular type of tree in this area that bears a fruit that is like an apple.
Not around here. Maybe in the deep. No sooner says that than the dwarf, who was also just like at his wit's end, says, "Shut up!"
He will not shut up.
Do say more. Go on.
We need to separate them so they can't concoct a story. We need to separate them and question them.
Well, I said we should kill the dwarf. I mean,
No,
the judge
we should
hasn't given
question
his
him.
decision yet.
I think we should question him, but not near the others. Perhaps we should take them one at a time into the basement and question them.
The dwarf will also be shackled.
Okay.
Well, I thought we shackled everybody except for the bartender anyways.
Yeah, I mean, basically. Sure. Yeah.
Maybe we should gag them and then just talk to this guy.
At the very
as well
least,
as
he's
having
got-
them shackled.
There
Really
is something
good.
to be said about separating them and grilling them, but there's also something to be said about having them all in the same place and grilling them. But I'll defer to whichever the company wants to do.
Well, I think that should be up to the judge.
Yes.
I will actually, in this specific regard, I will defer to the Inquisitor. I'm already formulating the sentencing.
Okay, Inquisitor,
Alright,
what do you
let's-
think?
I think we go ahead and just gather them all together, keep them all together, and query them as a group.
And as
for now.
part of this whole gathering them up and putting them together, I'm going to go through their pockets, looking to see if there's anything on them that might give us more information or that might be valuable.
Well,
Just
you
for
definitely
clues, you understand.
you definitely do see what appears to be some coins. Strangely, they're not the Queen's currency. Perhaps it just hasn't made it out here that far.
I asked the bartender, what are these worth?
Oh, at least a round or two on the house.
And where do you get them?
They're just what we use for trading around here.
Do you produce them locally?
The coins?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they're mostly... You can pretty well tell because of your expertise as a tax collector that, although you don't know how much it's worth because it is not a currency that is really used outside of the region where you've never been, but it is probably along the line of stamped tin, stamped metal, maybe even a little bit of kind of rusty, made out of tools and other rusty chits.
So not a particularly valuable metal.
Yeah.
Kind of like a chit.
It's more symbolic money.
Yeah. Like who owes who for what.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
So
do they have any keys or anything else in their pockets other than the coins?
Well, the bartender has a key to the basement and a key to the front door of the tavern. And
we're going to take those keys, definitely.
The bar that never closes.
What was the region the bartender mentioned that the apples might be located at?
He said the deep and before... Yeah. Okay.
The deep.
The deep what?
The deep woods. What direction are the these deep woods?
8 points further northeast, basically beyond the town.
And where might this shack be that they were speaking of with containing Maximilian, who we also searched for?
Max?
That is an excellent question.
You want to meet with Max? And they say some kind of derogatory word about a person, but it's some kind of colloquial phrase that you just don't know. But clearly he called him a so-and-so or something or other. And said, that person is out of town. He's not one of us.
Well, I don't care if he's one of you. I want to talk to him. Where is he?
All right, so points north beyond really the pagoda and all that, which that was in the town square. Further north, out of the town walls, about halfway to the woods. It's about a mile or so. I'm just going to
so in the same direction as the apples,
but north.
I don't know about no apples. If there were apples, we'd be eating them.
But you said that if they exist, they would be in the deep woods.
This is the dwarf that's saying that. The other one that said the deep woods was told to shut up.
I kicked the dwarf.
Yeah. Oh, you kicked the dwarf.
He needs to shut
up. Okay. All right. So now you have a general sense of where Maximilian is, and you know that they don't have money that's the Queen's coin.
And what happened to Maximilian's daughter?
Last I heard, she was just with Max.
Did you actually see a daughter or someone he claimed was his daughter in this town at any point?
I haven't seen Max in many, many moons.
But did you ever see a daughter?
You could say, oh yeah.
What age was his daughter?
I was going to ask if he could describe both Max and his daughter so we'll know them if we see them.
All right, he gives you a description of basically a tall, thin, weak-looking man with a bowed head and long, gangly arms, and a lady who just looks like kind of a standard, relatively attractive, and probably heavily attractive in a town like this, girl of suitable marrying age.
Interesting.
And does she have a name?
The person doesn't remember her name. At first called her Janine, and then called her something else, and I don't know. You didn't really get a good sense of...
She can't be that attractive. He'd have remembered her name.
You'd think so.
While this questioning is going on, I want to pop my divine sense and see what these guys all register as. Good or powerful good or powerful evil.
Is there an actual description on that?
The presence of strong evil registers on your senses like a noxious odor, and powerful good rings like heavenly music in your ears. As an action, you can open your awareness to detect such forces. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of you that is not behind total cover. You know the type of any being whose presence you sense, but not its identity.
It is a very sour and rotten smell that you're perceiving here. They may not be pure evil, but they're definitely not good. And is that... They're not... They can't be undead, because you would have recognized that. But they don't... Something is weird.
Including the bartender?
Yes.
I lean over to Maximilian and to wait, who's the Inquisitor? Corky?
Yep.
And let them know that specifically. The others too, but them specifically.
Okay.
Could they be thieves?
Do we want to kind of do a confab with quiet tone so they don't?
They're not going
necessarily hear
anywhere.
us?
They're not going anywhere. You could probably drag them to the corner of the tavern and, you know.
So
No,
what do
I'm just thinking we, at least a couple of us should go check out their houses and see what we can find at their houses while they're all tied up here.
We should also talk to some town members while we have them all tied up. If the town members are like, no, they're actually great, or if they're like, yeah, those guys are jerks.
or those guys eat people.
Right.
Perhaps we should show the townspeople that the fact that we've got them all, tied up and bound, because I'm wondering if the townsfolk are afraid of them.
Yeah, let's take them out to the square
Yeah.
where they have their meetings.
Well, is there anything like a
Sorry.
jail or detention facility?
We probably won't need a jail.
And I want to repurpose this tavern for the Queen's use.
Nice.
This coinage that they're using is clearly inferior, and from now on they should only be using a barter system, one of which we can take 10%. And that's being kind. I'm being very generous here for the moment. But I think we need to get better structure if this tavern is going to have any kind of business in the future. They need to start, falling into line.
Well, for that matter, we should see what they have in their larder downstairs.
We should do that, but
Oh, good point, because they might have all the food down there.
we need to make sure that... I guess we just have to make that decision about securing these people, whether we're going to take them outside or investigate the cellar first.
Cash them outside.
Well, no, definitely.
I
we'll
mean,
take them outside eventually, but do we want to?
the judge is still gathering information. I'm still encouraging some death.
Oh, well,
It would solve some of the babysitting problems we have at this moment. And it would be a tithe.
fair enough.
So, looking out into the courtyard, is there anywhere we could chain these guys up outside?
I believe you said there
could
were stocks.
Oh yeah, you could definitely, if you want to drag them outside, you can do so and tie them up there. Let me bring up the map. Fortunately, the writing is still on it, so I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm not quite sure how to get rid of that one piece. So let me.
So the question then becomes, what do we do with the bartender, since he did actually not attack us but hid and has been
I think he
somewhat
should be
helpful?
spared. He should be our kind of guy contact for now, I think. I'm willing to let him continue operating the tavern and prove himself as loyal to the Queen and us by, following instructions for how to run it and tithe properly. But as for
Judge?
Berserker 4 and 5, Wolverine and Gimli, they need to die.
Well, the other ones I think we definitely take outside and tie up and however whatever judgment comes down on them is the judgment that comes down on them.
From the current situation, my thinking is we will probably execute the two who actually harmed us. The one that fled will probably survive. The difference is because of the Queen's generosity, we will not extend their punishments to their families. And it'll just be a quick death as also another form of the lagrange of the Queen.
The Queen's mercy, of course.
Is it going to be a stabbing, hanging, that kind of thing?
Well, you
Public-
showed him
it
you were going
depends
to
on what they
hang him.
have.
Are you doing this publicly? I mean, you do go
Oh, yeah.
outside, and there are people that are starving, and there are people that are in the square, and you drag them outside and you tie them up to a post or something like that, and then
And
Yeah, say we do that, and then we'll.
That central DS that I guess they had passed, it had executions or something rather on. That's where we
yep.
should
As
do
you
it.
make your way to the public execution platform, people from around town come to watch.
of course they do.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. And that's where we will announce their sentencing.
And what are you going to say?
I am going to say,
And before he actually announces the sentencing, I want to be kind of watching the crowd to see what kind of reactions, if any, we get as far as anything that might point to an additional insight or something.
All right, I'm going to take a couple-minute break here to do a quick bio break. From the time that I leave, in just a second here, till the time I get back and let you guys know that it is back on the record, I'm going to let the party discuss amongst yourselves of how you're going to proceed.
I actually need a bio break myself, so I'm going to I will trust that whatever you decide will be for the best.
The appropriate people will be dead when you get back. No.
Be right back.
Yeah, just don't let the assassin make all the decisions.
What?
She's making good decisions so far. So
I like my decisions.
I love her decision so far.
haven't had any problems yet.
So we should send the tavern keeper with somebody to go get whatever food he has to bring out for these people to eat, instead of hoarding it, if they have any extra.
I mean, I do think we should personally investigate the cellar situation as soon as we're sorted here.
Oh, definitely.
And I think we should definitely make it clear that these people are being punished because they stole for the queen and they stole from the people of this village by hoarding food for themselves and resources for themselves that were not theirs to keep. But emphasize it was not only a crime against the queen, but a crime against the people of this village.
Oh, absolutely.
That is my argument, if it pleases the judge.
Yes. For those reasons, their execution will be for attacking the representatives of the queen, being all of us,
Attempted murder.
for food hoarding against the interests of one of the queen's towns and against her people. And they will be receiving a quick death that is limited just to them, and their families will be spared due to the generosity of the queen and because they submitted.
Well, probably the quickest type of death would be a slit to the throat as opposed to hanging. Or
Yes,
or
hanging isn't
beheading
always
or whatever.
effective.
I was just going to insert my pick into their skulls.
All right.
That sounds good too, but hanging doesn't always take.
Okay,
Well, no,
back.
that's right.
You guys can keep talking if you want.
We'll
I'm back.
not hang them, but we will do some sort of a much faster type of execution.
Again, with the queen's mercy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's say another 30 seconds, and then it's on the record.
Okay, so the things we're doing is dragging them out. For sentencing, we're asking the bartender about food and investigating the cellar and any other stores of food there might be, like in these people's houses.
Well, you still have these two people on the execution platform right now, and a crowd of people are watching them, and you are, if not up there, at least in the general area. We don't need to put you on the map per se, just because it's not particularly relevant. But you are not in a position to go back and investigate the cellar or do that sort of thing.
Talking
we're done
to
here.
talking to the bartender about.
Okay, so you were back with the bartender still, and the rest went to the town square?
No, we brought him with us, but
Okay,
I'm
we brought him
asking
with you. Okay, so like basically they're up on the bartender is up on the
judge is
platform.
going to make and I mean
Okay.
the judge is going to make his proclamation, so we have everybody who we've accosted out here.
All right.
But he's going to make his sentence.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to sentence the two, and then I guess we'll figure out what exactly we were going to do with the barkeep, depending on what he says and that does.
Okay, in character now. We are in a position
Okay.
where the two people are, or actually the three people, the dwarf, the Padawan, and the bartender are up on the platform. At least one of you is watching each, like physically restraining, and presumably it appears that Lantana is basically at the top most visible position to declare something, because she is one that so far seems to be the one that's doing the big announcing of things. And
Oh, well, I'm leaving this for the judge because, I mean, the
Yeah.
actual sentencing is his job. I've just given my argument as to what I think is justice should be.
Now, Corky as Inquisitor, it's often left up to an Inquisitor to make a recommendation to the judge, so can provide some kind of vocal discussion with the judge if deemed necessary in the case of a public trial like this.
I am ready to execute someone if the judge deems it, proper.
Yep. And that would also be presumably something that Harker would be doing potentially as well, is public execution if necessary, although that is not his specific job. Typically it's the judge that carries out the execution itself, although it varies.
Judge Dreadstar.
Oh,
All right.
So I mean,
somebody
if the judge has any questions or wishes to discuss anything, fine. But otherwise, I think we've already discussed things as far as what's go down.
All right, so we're going to put
Actually,
the
Mr.
onus
Lindsay,
on.
So I will defer to whatever the judge thinks is best.
Sure. So I'm going to turn to Lantana in-game as the player and say, the townspeople are all looking at you expectantly.
I smile, but one of those kind of deadly smiles that make you want to throw up.
Nice. Okay.
And I'm like, hark, people of stock, good people of stock. You have been through so much, and we are here to aid you. We are here to show you the bounty and mercy of the Queen. Behold the judge. Let hear his proclamation as to the fate of these villains.
Okay.
Then I kind of turn
So the townspeople then
gesture
look to
toward the judge and look at him like he totally knows exactly what to say.
and the townspeople's eyes follow to you, Maximilian.
Okay.
And
That
again,
roll-
I'm trying to watch the crowd to see if any of them are actually like turning away, like they might be part of the conspiracy or something. like
no
that.
one
Just
seems to-
trying to glean any information I might be able to.
Yep, no one seems to be making any, incentive or interest. Like, people don't seem to be trying to stop you. I mean, they, maybe they're trained on public executions as well, but at the same time, no one's made a move or anything like that yet.
That insight roll was to read the crowd as well, for that to see if they were like happy about this or just curious.
The weird sensation you get is that the crowd seems hungry.
Okay.
How
Hungry
long
for
does
information or hungry for food?
how long does that divine sense last? Did I get any townspeople in it?
As a matter of fact, yes. You really didn't give much thought because the same smell had continued this whole way. But now that you're thinking about it, that's a very good point. You're still smelling that weird smell.
Coming from everyone?
Not just the people we brought out with us.
Well, I mean, you can't really see it on a per-person basis when you've got a large crowd like this, but kind of, maybe? Is it possible?
Okay. Quietly
Super.
relay that information.
I whisper
right.
to Lucrezia behind my hand, and I'm like, do you think we should burn the bodies after we're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Is it-
Maximilian.
All right. People of stock, these people have been found guilty of attacking the representatives of the Queen, as well as hoarding food against you. They will be executed. They are getting a swift execution because they finally decided to submit, and because of the La Grisaille of the Queen.
All right.
Executioner. And I will step up and insert my war pick into the neck of one of them, up towards the head. So it's a very quick death.
Yep. Very quick death. A few struggles, and it's all over.
I hope that was barbarian number 5.
And then I will move to the next one and do the same.
All right. People watch quietly, somewhat wide-eyed, and with mixed emotion. But again, you mostly just see hunger.
Hunger.
That seems to grow as the people die.
Okay. And then I will step back and cast Blade Ward on myself.
So, but there were a total of six berserkers, right? So we've killed 2 of them. We have the bartender. What are we doing with the other 3?
They're still knocked out.
Yeah, they were either like completely knocked out, like really just pretty much, yeah.
Perhaps now we should ask the bartender. And what is the bartender's name? I feel bad calling him the bartender since he's my favorite.
What does it matter now? Spit.
I'm making friends.
And I guess I'll follow up with...
This is how I make friends.
Further,
strange you don't have a whole lot of friends, though. I'm not quite sure, you know.
Kill their associates and then make nice, you know. What's your name?
Further to their families, they are spared any other repercussions from these individuals' acts.
All right. The crowd is staring at everyone hungrily. What are you going to do?
Bartender, do you have hoarded food to bring these people? Speak the truth.
Pah, you don't know what you're doing. Kill me.
Whoa.
And he stares and groans like with a cruel sneer.
I mean, you know, if you really want us to, but we're just asking for food.
You've had ample opportunity to tell us so that we know what we're doing. So if there's something that we need to know, you should explain it to us so that everything will be okay.
Everything's going to be all right.
Now, where exactly are you guys standing in relation to this guy?
I'm probably between the 2 now dead bodies hanging from stalks.
And I would be like at least, you know, close by to that. If not on the dais, edge of the dais, I would be just beside it.
I'd probably be just off a little ways because I understand they have to die, but I'm a healer. I really don't want to take part in killing them.
Okay. So who's the one that's really doing the stabbing then?
That was
Maximilian.
Yep.
And if he failed, I know Lantana would have been.
So
backing
you were not between the 2 dead. You were between one of the dead and this guy.
And we were seriously considering
yeah, like
maybe
I imagine it's 2 stalks, and I was in between them, killed one, and then killed the other efficiently.
And we were standing with the bartender and the other bodies, which are knocked out, to the side.
Okay.
Because we have like 3 unconscious dudes, I think.
Oh, are they unconscious?
Yeah, 3 unconscious dudes. The bartender is conscious, and then 2 executed.
Okay, so I've got 3 more to go through then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you hadn't decided if you were going to kill them or not.
Yeah, they're still just down.
Because like one straight up surrendered, the other one surrendered after.
One fled
for a while. One ran away.
Yeah, one tried to flee, and that's the one that I basically knocked out first. And then the dwarf was, of course, killing us, and Wilbrain was trying to kill us, and one of the other guys took a couple stabs at us, but that was about it.
Yeah, all those guys. I figured those were getting killed.
Okay, so you're killing everybody but the bartender.
Yeah.
Even the guy that straight surrendered?
Yep.
Okay.
That's why their families are spared.
Now, I whispered about this, but because of what we smell, do we want to do anything special with these bodies?
I have an idea what to do with them.
What would you like to do with them? Tell me more.
Throw them out to the crowd and see what they do.
Oh God!
Oh, I applaud that idea. I think it sounds wonderful.
I think it sounds grisly, but I also think it would be extremely informative.
I do too.
I mean, I don't really want to endorse that kind of behavior, but
I mean, that's what the Blade Ward's about, because I'm expecting to get rushed as they try to come and consume these people. But
I kind of like the idea of burning them, but hey, whatever.
well, this is easy. Someone from the crowd, come forward, please.
No one is deliberately going forward.
Okay, let me put this into the list. You, I'll point to whoever, come here.
Okay, that person comes up.
How do you treat your dead here?
We bring them home for burial.
Okay. Are any
You
of
hear
you these
murmuring in
people's
the crowd of assent.
Are any of you these people's family?
Dead silence.
Okay. Do these people have family?
Dead silence.
Okay. In that case, that won't work.
Wait a second.
Kick the
Are
bartender.
these
Just-
people
these guys have
from
family.
around here?
They definitely, I mean, put yourself in their position. What will they have seen? They will have seen a military-style group enter the tavern, basically straight away from visiting the town center. And then the execution of most of the people inside, except for those who fled before the battle.
Right.
I'm going to suggest at this point that maybe we invite people back to the tavern and offer them a free round of drinks. We need to make friends.
That's the second part. Okay. So,
Okay, Captain Kirk.
first thing I guess we'll have to do is see how much stuff there is that we can give away. Otherwise, we end up with a riot.
This is true.
All
Well,
right.
I mean, that's a little beyond the scope of what we're the moment here. Are you guys going to leave the platform?
I wonder if we didn't ask about it before, but if there was any kind of church or
You don't see one.
location.
Strangely,
in
you don't see
graveyard.
one. Normally, what there is in the more, civilized parts of the world, there's a shrine to the Queen, and that serves as kind of a main worship and petition center and just about anything else that it needs to be. But you don't see one right here.
How about any type of a graveyard?
You didn't recall seeing one on the way in.
To the person who I made come up and tell me, thank you, and you can go. Like, I point my hand out towards back to the
Person
crowds.
goes back and is quickly hidden by the crowd. It's almost as if the crowd has their own system of influencing what happens at the execution podium.
Sorry. The cat.
Well, are we interested in respecting their customs, or do we let's merely do our own customs? Perhaps we just want to, if there's anything that Tabiana wants to do with these bodies, being a cleric, she wants to give any blessings of the Queen over them. Perhaps we should do that and then just burn them.
Well, they
dispose of them how we should, and follow our tradition since they aren't providing their own.
Well, they said they take them home to bury them, so, who normally buries the dead?
That's true.
Presumably the families, but where
do
they
they bury them? If there are any customs?
So pick somebody else out from the crowd and say, who takes care of burying the dead, and where do they bury them? Because let's find out where they normally bury them.
Sure.
Let us
Like
bring
I
him
don't know
home, someone says from the crowd. And by the way, Lucrezia, feel free to make a perception check.
Okay, then I will. Hold on. Into the tower?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Perception.
Right-click D10 percentage.
How is cannibal looked upon in the Queendom?
It's definitely not something that happens.
Okay.
I mean, you've heard of it in extreme cases, or evil acts, or perhaps under the absolute wits of starvation, but never. It's definitely not something that is acceptable.
Okay. Codified, is it legal or illegal?
Well, I guess it depends whether there's anyone to stop them.
I'm not going to stop them.
Yeah.
Did you get that roll?
I did. You get the sense, Lucrezia, that the crowd is waiting for you to leave.
Told
Yeah.
ya.
How
There-
about
How about we
Harker
pick-
or I, somebody stealthy? How about we kind of slip out now and kind of hide somewhere so that we can watch?
Okay, I'm
And
for
then
that.
everybody else go back into the tavern and continue with stuff there for just a brief time, So like we're kind of hiding around the tavern is what I would do.
Okay, how about this? We all leave here and go to the tavern after announcing that we will go and see what provisions they had hoarded and disperse them as best we can.
Okay.
That sounds
I
good.
want to sneak out one of the back windows where nobody is actually looking from the tavern and see if I can kind of be stealthy that way too.
Okay, so at this point you are not yet at the tavern, although some of you have left the stage and are left unmolested to go into the tavern. However, you do still have the bartender.
We're
who's
bringing
sitting
the
at
bartender with us.
Oh, yeah. He's
Okay,
coming with us.
okay,
He's
coming
going to
with.
stay with us.
All right, so you drag the bartender back. He looks frightened, but defiant, still somewhat defiant. And you hear some strange sounds as you close the tavern door. Now, let me get a quick drink of water, and we'll have to see. Roll a stealth check for those who are not actually entering the tavern.
Ooh.
I don't know if I am or not.
Oh, I did mine in the tower. I don't know.
I know.
if
I
would
rolled mine
reroll it.
before I thought I should have
don't
done it in the
have to do
tower.
Yeah, probably should have done tower.
Let's see if he
But
wants
he
me.
didn't say so, so there you go.
Yeah, let's see if he wants me to reroll it. Tower or not.
Okay. So, Tabiana, all you see is the crowd descend upon the corpses and maybe pick them up. I don't know. You were kind of, it's a raised platform and you're on the other side of it. So you're kind of looking almost from like under backstage, but it looks like that. However, Corky, if you just saw what you thought you saw, that you don't even know if you can put it into words. It appeared that they drug them from the stage and started tearing at them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Conveniently, I'm in this building.
Nonetheless, eventually the crowd does die down, and you see no traces of the people. You didn't actually see like arms and limbs flying off, but there was definitely something that
There's
is
no
almost
sign
too
of
much
any
to think of.
no
Okay.
carnage left behind.
Okay, does it appear that everybody's basically going back to their houses, or does it appear that there might be some of them heading off somewhere else to perhaps possibly bury these guys?
Well, you do see like some crowds kind of go off into the distance, and that you'd have to follow them if that's what you really wanted to do. But they did leave the town square area.
That is what I would want to do, as stealthily follow them as much as I can.
Of the people, which say group in particular, which body?
Well, the
group in
ones that you say
particular?
are kind of going off to the distance and not just
Well, so-
necessarily headed back
Sure.
to
So
to their houses or
basically,
whatnot.
everyone is leaving the town square to, one, get out of your way, and two, take care of what either is just regular burial business or perhaps some kind of, can't even imagine. But it's,
Is there one
Right,
group?
that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to follow the bodies if there is anything to follow. Because if they're going out to maybe try to take care of the burying business that they want to do, that's kind of what the group I'm trying to follow. If they end up just going back to their house, that still tells me something.
You do notice that the one group basically brings what appears to be an intact body, you think, into one of the houses, and the door shuts.
Okay, I know which house.
Yes, I'll have it on the map. You'll have it marked if you need to.
Okay, anything else kind of strange or whatnot, or is that the only one that's
It's pretty much cleared out at this point.
Okay.
No one is going into the tavern for a drink, I can tell you that much.
All right, I make my way back to the tavern and basically try to tell everybody what I think I saw and what I kind of followed and saw.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
barkeep,
do
what is going on here? Are these people cannibals? Are you?
When, and you see his eyes just grow wide and frightened as if, my God, I've been found out.
Mm-hmm.
Soylent Green is people.
Okay.
Are we in Oregon?
It's Oregon.
The trail. Oregon.
Oregon.
He
That's-
does
and
say
that's
something
where I am
kind
currently
of...
located. Yes.
he's been doing a lot of babbling and that sort of thing, seeing his friends get killed and all that sort of thing. Now that you think about it, he did say something along the lines of, we thought if we just left him be.
Left who be?
Maximilian, why are you punishing us?
Tell us all you know.
Tell us all you know about Maximilian. Because we're here because Maximilian did not do what he was supposed to do.
We haven't had outsiders. And then he showed up. And the next thing you know, it was either do something or they'd all come and accuse us, and we know what we do. So we drove him out of town, and not like he didn't really want to be there anyway. And so he just said, let me be, and I'll let you be, and that's where it's been. And then next thing you know, it's been a couple of years of peaceful times, let me tell you, that then all of a sudden you come in and you start slaughtering us.
Who attacked who first?
No. Who are these they that you kind of mentioned? He said if we just left, if we had to do something, otherwise they might do something. Who is this they?
The queen. The Maximilian said, he'd stop them from taking over if we just let him live, and his daughter.
I believe he was mistaken.
Poor thing. You believed him. He didn't have the authority to tell you that. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to find out. There's obviously something else going on here. So I'm thinking that there's another group of people somewhere that's kind of that's influencing or whatever. And that's what I'm trying to glean from. Is like,
let me save you a little bit
villages or other who might be doing all this influencing.
So let me kind of help you out a little bit with what we know we've been assigned to do, which is that a message came from the official representative, which is Maximilian, right? For the first time in a long time, there had been silence to the point that the Queen either assumed they were all killed or that he was a traitor, that he simply basically ran away, and whether he's still there or not, he's not enforcing the Queen's rule. So you do know that, however, that things had become dire enough that the guy had sent a letter to the Queen basically requesting aid to find his missing daughter. So you do know that clearly as part of your mission, you need to go to Maximilian's place, and you now know where that is because it is north. Remember they pointed out
Okay.
kind of north of where it
So
was.
he really does live in a hovel to the north. That's terrible.
Well, maybe.
Right. I would before we do that, I would still like to search these other guys' houses and see.
And I think we should
There's
go down the
anything
cellar
there
as
that
well,
we
just
find.
to do a little survey of what might be there.
Sure.
Right.
Oh God! Why do you make me do this? Okay, that's fine.
Everybody loves a cellar. I don't understand what the problem is.
So the people who were regulars at that establishment were not starving, and they keep generally, as I said, cold food and beverages in the basement. And so you see a pile of dead
Dry
bodies.
beast.
So
Oh. Well, this is interesting.
Like, how old are these dead bodies? Are they been jerkied, or are they relatively fresh enough?
fresh.
Okay.
Mm.
So what did you do with Maximilian's daughter?
I didn't do
Sorry.
anything with them. Ask Maximilian, get out of here. Get out of here. Leave me alone. Ask Max yourself.
We totally will. We will ask Max ourselves. And you've been so good in talking to us. I really appreciate that you've offered up information where your compatriots did not. So you should obviously continue doing this, because you're my favorite, honestly.
Oh, and by the way, where do all these bodies come from?
When people die, we eat them.
Now, I'm curious. Is this a behavior that you just recently started to engage in? Or is this perhaps a local tradition?
Right, like how long has the famine been going on?
I
that they
mean-
resort to it.
The famine's been going on for at least 4 years.
So, before 4 years ago, did you eat people?
No, we did not have to. But when things became that desperate, we now do. And now we enjoy it. It's nice. Have you done it? He looks crazed and crazed and crazed. Roll for initiative.
Oh, boy.
Okay,
Oh.
let's do this, ghoul.
Oops.
Okay.
Garbage.
I don't see any bottles of Chianti.
Fava beans?
Fava beans. Nice.
All right. Yeah,
Where-
okay.
Hey, where's Berserker 2 hanging out?
Oh, he's pinned upstairs still.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I just didn't delete him yet.
How to open that map again?
Which map? Of the tavern?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get it for you.
Go to your images and maps, and you should be able to find it there.
Oh, okay. All right.
This is pretty much how Lintenna's life goes. She makes a friend, and it turns out to be a ghoul.
He's the ghoul of your dreams.
Exactly.
So the guy is sort of on the corner here by the basement. You had gone down to the basement, seeing all the awful stuff.
Okay.
And now you have got the guy there in the corner.
So, because I can see in the basement the easiest.
Yeah. He doesn't really look like that, but he's. I'm just putting it there for representation.
Goodness.
He's getting there.
Change.
Yeah. All right. So Maximilian, or no, actually, Lucrezia is first.
Okay. Let's see. Wait.
Somehow it jumped to Harker.
Yeah, I don't know why. I rolled like
Suddenly I'm a 2 and I was 19. Or
yeah,
20.
I think it re-rolled automatically or something because I rolled a 3, so I only had a 4. I was last, and now I'm first.
And I was first, and now I'm last.
Don't worry about it. You're going first, Harker.
Okay. Then I am going to calmly walk up here and calmly stab him in the kidney. If a ghoul has a kidney.
Oh yeah.
He had a kidney a minute ago.
Yep, you definitely hit. And did some damage. He bleeds, but not like you normally see. Almost as if it's sluggish.
It's black blood.
All right, now it is actually his turn, isn't it? He's going to make a lunge at... Oh, man, who should he lunge at? Well, that's where you were, Lantana? Is all the way at the end of the bar like that?
Yeah, I don't think we really positioned ourselves much.
So, Lantana, were you at the end of the bar? Or maybe she had to go AFK real quick. I didn't actually check Discord.
Oh, are you talking about me?
Yes.
I'm where I am.
Okay. All right, so he tries to lunge really through Harker, who had just stabbed him, and is going to attack with a bite, miss, and claws. And hit.
Uh-oh.
4. Now make a saving throw
Yeah, I
of
knew that was
Constitution save.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Constitution?
Yep. Oh!
Yep. Just like I would.
You feel an icy chill as his claws rake across your stomach. You are paralyzed for the next round, basically like in shock. Although, actually, no, because you've got to roll a 1, so you're in shock. You skip around. Corky, it's your turn.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull out my blunderbuss and take a shot at him.
You're going to need to move. So you have to move first.
Okay, how's that?
Yep, and then you can shoot.
don't shoot me.
And you hit. Kablam! Roll a 1d12. 9 points. And almost blew off an arm. It's just kind of hanging there at this point.
14 points.
Yep. Oh, 4.
Dick's bonfire.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you rolled it on the character, right? So the wound should be accurate.
No, I did. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
it came up as...
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You moved and you attacked. So now Tabiana.
I am going to. What am I going to do? Pull up my actions here.
Hey, Harker, do you have 10 hit points?
Shoot. I wish light worked like in DDO and I could just like cast light on him and not use the spell slot. But since not, I am going to move up to him and use my burning hands.
Okay.
See if I'm doing this right. No. So I wanna. Whoops.
Yep.
Oh, yes, I did it
Have
right.
on save. So you actually rolled a 10. So yeah, okay. Yeah, you hit. Roll damage.
Come on, damage. Also, you should check Discord
Ooh.
and your clock.
Yeah, I know.
That
I know.
exceeds hit points by 12. Yeah, I'm really helping.
Nice. Yeah, I actually am aware of Discord here. And I am going to be calling it in just a second, but we're going to finish this combat, which just ended as a searing bright light emanates from your hand, and he just falls into a pile of ash. All right, so now we are going to call that here. You left with
Good night, friend.
hungry mob outside, perhaps less hungry than they were. You have not yet met Maximilian, although you do know he appears to be at least safe as last time the village saw. And they don't know what happened to the daughter. but they were familiar with the daughter. And
Can
you are in a position.
Can I officially reload?
Yeah. We're at the end of combat here. So when we take off, we're going to be essentially done with combat, and you will be able to decide where you want to go next.
Right. No, I just know we're wrapping up the stream and whatnot, so I just wanted it on the record of reloading. So that's all. No problem.
Yep, we'll take care of that. You'll have basically, if you want to, even a full rest. So it's up to you what you want to do. It's your time schedule to determine.
He'll Harker up.
Yep. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching part 1 of The Witch in the Woods introduction. So remember, we are going to be back the next 2 Sundays, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, part 2, part 3, and then this story is done. And this is The Witch in the Woods, and we're going to be kind of cooking things along now that we know the setting, we know the characters, and we know how you folks want to act.
Wait,
so
cooking
the next time.
We got a pile of bodies here. I don't like the sound of this.
I think we should just put a note on the bar and say free food downstairs and then go about our business.
I actually am going to agree with that. Just leave the doors open and go.
I don't think I can tax this.
By the way, for those folks who can't make it either of the next 3 Sundays, we are going to have these archived both on Twitch and on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons, twitch.tv/DDOstream. If you would give us a follow, you'll be notified from when we go live with shows like this, which is every Sunday, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, D&D night on DDOstream. Thank you so much, Corky and Harker and Lantana and Lucrezia and Maximilian and Tabiana, for being here today. Really appreciate it, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for the game. That was fun.
Bye.
Thanks.
For the Queen!
For the Queen!
And Streaming with Even will follow at 11 p.m. Just saying.
Yep.
Good night.
Not sure I got that in there before the video started.
Because Even likes long days.
Oh, it's
That was fun.
That was great.
Once we started figuring things out.
I am.
Now, does Harker really have 10 hit points to begin with?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, I